We've got audio, and we've got video. Perfect. Excellent. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone accompanying us. On this rather precious day of Shabbat, heated, extremely hot, from California, the US of A, today being Shabbat, the 29th day of Sivan, the last day of Sivan, we're going to look for the moon tonight, of the year 5993, from creation, corresponding to the 6th day of July of the year 2024. We shall study yet another chapter of wisdom and discipline, part 24. Can we change the apocalypse, part 7? And today is a day that's special because it's the last day of the month of Sivan. We're going to enter into the fourth month, known as the fourth month or Tamus. It is super hot here. We're going to make pizza later. So then today is a day of pizzas. Pizzas, well, Italian style, not Argentinian. So we're going to eat very, very delicious. But also, we are going to have yet another chapter in this school of the Mashiach. We shall study yet a little more. We shall answer some questions to be united amongst everyone and be prepared. Without any further ado, let us seek our Elohim. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks for everything you give us. We give you thanks for this day. We give you thanks for being able to continue to learn, for being able to be here, gathered together in this day of Shabbat. Thank you for allowing us to live in this last stretch of the creation. I ask you that it really be sure that this year be the designated year by you in everything that we have been learning. We thank you for all this in your precious name, Yahweh Sabaoth. Alleluia. Yahweh has blessed with one more year of life the following members of the Eternal Truth. And let me ask you if you can hear me well on the mic. Can you tell me, please, if you can hear me well? Marta Sanchez, Mexico. Josue Gabriel Herrera Hernandez, Colombia. Luis Brevis, Chile. Lidia Hernandez, Mexico. Mayra Estela Vicente, Mexico. Amelia Barrios Iturral from Argentina. Nancy Perdomo, Venezuela. Vera Lucia Guido, Brazil. Jesus Manuel Chabel Jimenez, Mexico. And Nelson Shiloh, who is not here with us today. We send you a great big hug, Nelson. The US of A. To each and every one of you, may Yahweh bless you greatly. Congratulations and many happiness towards you. And may it be the last one. It is our wish under the government of Babylon. As the last greeting, I hope nobody gets offended because we think that they have left it. If it isn't so, just write to me and we'll correct it right away. I have two names: Carolina Bucardo, Nicaragua, and Keleth Moreno, Colombia. If you're still listening, if you are still a part of this group, write to us and tell us that you are, in fact, still part of the Eternal Truth. Very well. But either way, we send you your last birthday greeting, even if it's the last one. Today the moon will be seen, and for some of you, the sun is already going down. Maybe some of you, the sun already went down. I believe so. But today is the day wherever you live where the moon will be seen, and it is primordial that we all go out and look for it because today is the 29th. And on the 29th days, we have to see it for sure. The moon will be seen, so then even though I may be speaking, if it's the fact that the sun's about to go down, and in the 30-45 minutes after that, that you can see the moon, go out and look for it. Even if we are still gathered together here, we need for every one of you to go out and look for the moon. Very well. That way we can give the month of Tammuz, it's beginning. Everyone go out and look for the moon, and if you can take a picture, even better. As I've told you last Shabbat, I stayed thinking about the phrase from that Christian pastor that said, the world cannot escape the book of Revelation. The world cannot escape or cannot escape itself from the book of Revelation. And clearly so, it is something that is very common that the Christian pastors follow to the letter what's convenient to them, what it says. So then in their mind, they think that this world is about to end. But not just that it's about to end and for everything to be destroyed, but also that they are convinced that we are at the maximum limit of wickedness and evil. In other words, this world has never seen so much evil. And they are convinced of that. As also I was at some point in time saying, oh yeah, how much wickedness, I had never seen nothing of the contrary, that nobody could argue against me that it isn't so. And I would just look over all the positive points of the world that we live in. Even so, we are blinded, or we blind ourselves thinking that other times were better, thinking that before there was no wickedness, and that now it is a world of wickedness, when it's all the contrary. It's all the contrary. We, as human beings, we try always, we strive to make a better world. Look, even with lies, with deceit, with governments, whatever. But humanity, as, let's say it this way per se, in its collective consciousness, actually wants a better world. We're not worsening the world, we're actually making the world better in many aspects. I know there's violence, I know there's crime, there's no need for you to tell me that, but as respect towards human beings has incremented now. It's not the same to have lived 100 or 200 years ago, 300, 500, 1,000 years ago. Your property would not be respected by anyone. Anyone would come, they'd rob you, kill you, and take your property, and that's it, it's over. And never ever, no one would ever do the contrary. There were no justice courts, although justice not be the best in the world, there were no justice courts to defend you in anything, forget it. You had the chance of living and of continuing to live if you were lucky, and many more things. So then, but even I had the idea, because that's the way I was taught, that we live in a world of wickedness, and it isn't so. We live in a world that's a lot better than 100 years ago, a lot better than 200 years ago, and extremely better than 500 years ago, unimaginably so than 1,000 years ago, and don't even mention during the time of the prophets and Abraham, don't even mention that, where to go, they would go and rape a whole population. I mean, now it was just common everyday thing, or else Yahweh would do and just disappear the whole world whenever he wanted. So then, actually, the Christians are wrong thinking that the world will disappear, and also they are wrong that the world deserves to disappear, because in their equivocation, it is steps and of upon mistakes, one upon another, thinking that this world is at its worst level of wickedness because they have drawn away from God. That is what they think. The world is a sinful world because they have drawn away from God. And if you ask any one of these Christians, in what way did they draw away from God? Well, that they don't respect their God, that specific religion. So then they look at the other people as completely wrong, and that actually they have to disappear. For example, what this guy, Christian, the Uruguayan guy, presenting that within a month or so, in 17th or 18th of September, a rapture is coming, the same thing as in the book of Apocalypse is going to be developed, and that they will be raptured, and that the rest of us, well, some will be able to be saved through the sacrifice giving their life for defending God or Christ, but it'll cost you your life. That is what they call the holy men of tribulation, the saints of the tribulation, that they are now in the time of grace where salvation doesn't cost anything, just to accept that you're sinful, to accept the blood of Christ, and to accept any idiot that comes along to tell you that a rapture is coming. So then, right there, you are in a free salvation under grace. Once they are raptured, then the world will no longer have grace. What they will have is disgrace. And they will have tribulation, and those who want to be saved will have to give their lives for their salvation. So then it'll be completely by works. That salvation, that's what they say themselves. It won't cost you now. If you don't go with them, it costs your life. That's the only way. And if you don't want that, then you have an eternal hell. You choose. You have an eternal hell in front of you. The world cannot escape the book of Revelation. What do we say? All the contrary. Can we change the apocalypse? There's no need to change it, because the apocalypse is a story that will not be fulfilled in the way that the people believe. For example, when last Shabbat we studied Matthew 24, when I told you, my words shall not pass, I want to remind you that I said that it was a play of words in Spanish, that in English it does say, my words will persevere forever, they will not pass away, they will not, it's not saying that they will stop existing, but they'll exist forever. But it was funny the way it was written in English. In Spanish, my word shall not pass, but to force the text itself, it's not there, that saying that my word will not pass. I want to, just in case somebody misunderstood, Yeshua says, heaven and earth will pass. He assures it. There's the secret. Pay attention to what I'm saying. Yahweh, in the human form, he's saying heaven and earth will stop existing. But my words will not stop existing. That is what the text says. Aside from the play of words that I told you that they will pass or will not come to pass. Now, when we review well what the Creator is saying, the Creator is saying, my creation that I made will not exist anymore. So then right there we see that He gave us the key, because heaven and earth, yes, they will continue to exist eternally. Eternally. He himself says it, that eternally everything will exist in many different texts. So then, by saying heaven and earth will stop existing, we see that He's not lying to us. He is telling us that everything that he said, yes, it won't exist. Because heaven and earth will exist. What will not exist is the great tribulation of which he threatened us with. But of course, it's an enigma. That is what you call to conceal the word. How can you think that it is concealed? The word is concealed in the most original way, an enigmatic way. It's not that it's written in a different language and key codes. If I knew what this word meant, then I could open. No. That's not the way of concealing. It's not the way of concealing the scripture. A computer could not encrypt the seal of this enigma. Once we start to understand the whole entire Bible as a whole, and we start to understand that there's only one Elohim, not two or three, we start to understand that the Son of God did not come. And everything that he says, I'm the Son of God, is a parable. So then when he says heaven and earth will stop existing, but my words will not stop existing. Actually, what he's saying, look, my words will not have effect, because heaven and earth will always have an effect. And he says that. He says it precisely because before he says, I could fulfill this if I wanted to destroy everything, but there's someone that will stop it. That is why first I send the one that will stop me, because if I don't send the one that will stop me, then yes, I will come and destroy everything. So then already when he tells you the story that's concealed in many different ways, drawings and colors and stories, it is when the story starts to close in that he created a world in 6 days, that for him it's not that for him they are, but that's what he said. You want to rule for me? A day is 1,000 years. So then when he created the world in 6 days, actually he did it in 6,000 years. So then Yahweh is creating as we speak. It's not that he left, not in vacation. He is creating. This whole part of this society that we have is part of the creation of his. He wanted man to live as a man and not like a little animal in a cave without any type of commodities. No, absolutely not. But it took 6 days to do it. It took 6,000 years to do it. Precisely what the last thing a creator would do when he, in the main parable of creation, he says, and he saw that it was good in great manner. When an artist or creator sees that something that out of his creation is very good, the last thing he wants is to destroy it greatly. The last thing he wants is to make it disappear just because he wants to. It isn't so. We are in a society that is very good, but it needs to change its government. The government that he placed is Babylon. When it was the government, the most intelligent government that would lend itself to his project of creation, because it was a government that was globalizing. Of course, we talk about a globe when the world is not a globe. That is clear. But once you understand the term of globalization, that all the critics of the government and those that do conspiracy theories, they say no to globalization, and I say yes to globalization. Or to the, I don't know, the planification, the flatification, or to change it from global to flat. Yes, because man wants complete union. I understand that we can get to think that the government wants to join everyone, to take your power, to take your individuality and all, everything that you have heard. But that is not the idea of Yahweh's. The idea of Yahweh is that at the end of times, society to start to become a united society. And that is what we see now. Obviously, it will not be fulfilled with this government of Babylon, but it will be fulfilled as the Messiah. With the Messiah, using the term that is used in the world, but I cannot make one up right now, the Messiah will be the most globalizing being, that exists, because the Messiah believes in globalization. The Messiah does not believe in frontiers or countries. The Messiah does not believe that every place has to have its own national anthem and its own flag, independence. No. The Messiah says, I didn't come to give you independence to every country. Come to make out of this humanity something that is united. That is the only way that it will work. That is why, little by little, even if we don't understand it or we don't like it, Yahweh made for our mind in society and governments to tend to go towards a globalization, but that is what the Messiah will go towards, to a globalization. It says all the peoples will come and say, Yahweh is, and now we understand that Yahweh is one. Now we understand who Yahweh is. Why? He says, because all the peoples, because everything will go headed towards globalization. So then all the things that we have seen that we don't like actually play towards the good of the consciousness, the popular consciousness. Internet has been and is the most globalizing tool. That is why I am speaking, and anyone in any place or country in this world that wants to listen, because it's very few that wants to listen, that want to listen, they can listen. Before, it was completely impossible. Not impossible. It was there, it had not come to the notion of conscience of humans. It was a property only of God to speak in that in different ways to be heard simultaneously. Only God could do that, and not even had seen him do it, but they would think that it is a divine attribute to be able to speak and for you to be heard in Israel, in Babylon, in Rome at the same time, and even more in the whole world at the same time. It is something that it was unthinkable, not just for them to hear you, but that they can see you, an image. That is something that is absolutely insane. But Yahweh, who's still in the creation of everything that has happened in humanity, when he sees all this, when he starts to see the way of thinking of people, he says what he says in Genesis, in Bereshit. And Yahweh saw his creation on the sixth day, and he said, "This is very good." So then how will a society will pass that has grown during 6,000 years, and taking out all the things that we know of? There are people that act wrong. There are countries that still don't enter into what the norm is, or it's still part of the plan of Yahweh. But society, there has come a point where it has never shown the rest of the 6,000 years, never. So then, the phrase of that pastor, the world cannot escape the book of the Apocalypse, is because he does not understand the book of the Apocalypse. He does not understand it. Let us continue to advance. Let me remind you that all of you that are maybe going through some conflict, emotional, that becomes a physical level, we have a free consult, which is Angelina's consult. It's in the description of this video, and I thank all of you that remember and collaborate with Angelina. And also, I thank for all those that remember and collaborate with this ministry of the eternal truth. As soon as you see the moon, can somebody of you let me know if somebody sees the moon? Leslie, if you're reading chat, let me know. Farewell. Shema Israel. Oh, today, we're after this talk and before the pizza, we're going to have the baptism of Uriel. Uriel has decided to be baptized. How old are you, Uriel? 10 years old. He has decided to be baptized, and today he came very well dressed because it'll be his baptism, and we have just wrapped up the pool that we made in the back, and it's all ready for the baptism of Uriel in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, with everything that that means, and we shall enjoy that ceremony today after this study very well. Shema Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh, our God, Yahweh, is one. Simple, very simple. He's one. How many gods are there? One. Talking about divinity, because all human beings, since they are a copy made in the image and likeness of that only being, we are gods. And he says, you are gods because you were made in my image and likeness. If I am God, then you're gods. But when we speak of divinity, creating divinity, when we talk about the creator, the one that is not with us, but rather in a superior level, not as high, but superior in every aspect, he is one. He is not the Father and the Son, he's not the Father and the Son, the Holy Spirit, but he is only one being. Once that enters into the notion of our mind, once that sets in here, because one thing is to say, yes, I believe it, but I still believe everything that I was taught and everything that I believe my entire life. Once that sets in here and it becomes an integral part of a basic belief of ours, everything else starts to just make noise. Who came to earth and made himself be called the Son of God? Who was that guy? And who is the Messiah that will return? But it's not, wasn't it that God is one? How's the Messiah going to return? that whole type of false questioning or true questioning, sooner or later, it will come to our minds sooner or later. If you're sincere and if it basic belief has entered that Yahweh is one, so then what begins is we're going to see Yahweh dressed as a Messiah. So then if we see Yahweh in the form of a Messiah, we're going to ask him, and who anointed you for you to be the Messiah? He's going to say, what's he going to say? My Father did? What's he going to say? All those things start to make noise in your mind. And once we start to wake up from what we had read in the book of the Bible, and we had believed, that is when that mental struggle begins, which hurts, but has to be changed. Christ Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach of 2,000 years ago, no longer exists. He will not return. No Christ will return, nor will any Christ rapture you of 2,000 years ago, nor will a Christ, the Son of God of 2,000 years ago, will come in the clouds gloriously. No, because he does not exist. God is one. Yahweh came to earth. He made himself part of humanity. He lived our experience, which I believe to be very good, at least. He died as we die, but he, because he's the creator, because he has something extra, a lot more than us, he resurrected. And he said, I will return. But all that is when Yahweh says the book is sealed. That is what is sealed. It's not that we have to go and look and says here this little word says, and I look in the dictionary, this word is related. No, it's what the whole world does. And they still get to the same story, that Jesus will return no matter how much they discover how much the Antichrist is or who the Antichrist is, and they don't understand because the word is concealed for everyone, and it does not depend of those that want to open the word. It doesn't depend of that. Is it okay for you to read a sealed book? Yes, because the Bible is a living book, and it's good for everyone. Yes, it's good for everyone. The better you read it, the better it is for you. It's not that it is bad for you because it's concealed. No, but they will understand whatever. They're not going to understand the truth. Yeshua told his disciples, someday, if you follow me, you will understand the truth, and that truth will make you free. Free of what? What do you mean? Weren't you free already? No, they weren't. They were tied to their religious principles. The 12 fishermen, also Nicodemus. He was even more tied down because Nicodemus, he came close to Yeshua and he said, Master, good master, or whatever. And he wanted to know the truth, how to be saved and all the rest. What did Yeshua tell him? He looked at him. Did he explain something? No. He said, look, Nicodemus, actually, for you to understand this, you should go back to your mother's womb and be born again. Because everything that you believe and live in and have experienced and read is no good for you to understand truth. It's no good because everything is against you. Everything that you have believed in the Torah, the true God, and everything will not be any good for you. You have to go back to be born and to go back to understand everything, but well this time, because it is very difficult. Do you think that Nicodemus understood the truth? No, of course not. Of course not. Nicodemus never understood that he was in the presence of Yahweh. He could not have understood it. And if Yahweh would tell him directly and tell him, look, you are seeing Yahweh, he would not have believed it, and he would have left. He would have told him, show me the Father, and it's enough. He would not have understood it. It cannot, the human mind could not grasp it, and even more in that time, something like that. His disciples comprehended that they were in the presence of Yahweh? No, of course not. You don't even comprehend that. Not even today in the churches, the whole world has them as the Son of God, because God so loved the world, Yahweh, that is, that he has given his only begotten Son, that everyone that believed on him be not lost, but have eternal life. And they cannot pass from the notion that the one that came to earth and no one was left in heaven was the only one that there was to come. They cannot go past that. What happens with all those Christians? Well, they have to be born again, and not physically so. Yahweh sent Nicodemus to be born again. Directly, he sent him to be born. But actually, it is to be born just like the phoenix bird from the ashes. You have to burn everything down, which our parents with their goodwill, the churches in their goodwill, even the biblical prophets in their poor yet good intentions gave us. And to be able to rebuild everything, and then you'll understand what the eternal truth is. You'll understand it. All of you who follow me from a long time ago have understood this. And you formed an abyss with the rest. That's why I've told you there's no need for you to tell people what you believe in, because they're not ready. We're not in a business of converting people for salvation. No, absolutely not. People are already saved. I want to highlight this. The whole entire world that has ever been more than this world is already saved. You don't have to go around saving people, nor fishing them for them to believe like you. Not that either. Now, if somebody is interested and they ask and they want to know, you can give answers, and the answers can be given in the measure that the person accepts. If the person does not accept, and you see that they do not accept that God is one, then there's no need for you to give them not a single more explanation. Nothing. If a Trinitarian person believes that they are three, how are they going to ever accept the idea that the Christ that is written in Scripture is human? That is impossible. It's impossible. They could never accept that because something impedes it. An impediment is within. It's a barrier which blocks that, because they believe that the Christ is a divine being that came 2,000 years ago, that is equal or the Son of God, and that went back to heaven, wherever heaven might be. So then they cannot accept that the Christ be human. They'll see it as the Antichrist, precisely because his Savior Christ, to the Christ that prayed to him, since they taught to him that they have to pray to Christ, what is telling them that he does not exist, and that is very difficult impossible to accept, and it is not our mission to draw out that lie from them or that mistake now. The time will come for that. That is why our relationship with all human beings has to be based in what actually they accept, and not to pressure them and not make their life impossible, none whatsoever. Let everyone believe whatever they want to. If they're all within salvation either way, sooner or later, in the adequate time, they'll understand whatever they need to understand. The Scripture says it clearly that all the peoples will come from all different nationalities, from all times, from all eras, and they'll all say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is men that makes themselves gods, then they're not gods. That is what they'll say. You want him to say that now? No, he's not going to say it now. No, only you can say that. You can say, the truth is that I've only inherited lies from our fathers. Now, you either say it now, or you say it later. But they will say it at some point in time, so that you should not worry about saving people. Based on that, what I'm saying, Christians that don't understand anything of what I just said, they understand a false God created by themselves, a misinterpretation. Then, of course, they see the world that is lost. And they try and they incite you have to save one more soul for Christ, because if you don't, then they go to hell. So then the chance is now to save. Now is the chance to save. And they don't see that they are just as saved as the rest, and that they are wrong, and they actually have to say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. That is a unique privilege that we have, and that every time, maybe there were people that were way too many here. It's not many that understand that. It's difficult to understand. No, actually not. It's actually very easy to understand. What's difficult is to unlearn. That's what's difficult, to change a belief in a love for something that does not exist. That's what's very difficult. I'm not going to say impossible, because they will change it, but maybe at this point in time it is impossible. So then actually Yahweh utilizes this method to divide what will make the global government. That's the way it is, because the advantage of understanding this now, but by heart, not because of an expression. I've never pressured anyone. If somebody's listening here, is because they want to listen, not out of fear of something. Those that understand this, they already have an advantage over the rest. The rest are the ones that are going to say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Those that don't say that, those I learned being there with you, those will be precisely the group that will guide the world. In what way? We shouldn't even worry about that, but there is a difference, a brutal one. It is those that say only lies, and it's those that say, I am and I learn the truth, the eternal truth. So then it is an advantage that is really incredible, absolutely incredible, a privilege to understand these things that are so marvelous. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word. The whole entire word is concealed. It's all concealed. And concealed in the most ingenious way and divine way. Only that Elohim came up with it. It is not a system of keys. No. It is concealed in a way that you say, that's not what the Bible says. And it does say that. But it says that the great day of the wrath of Yahweh comes. No great day of the wrath of Yahweh will come. But it's written in my Bible everywhere. Yeah, it is written in your Bible everywhere. That is what you call that it is concealed. Because you have accepted what you thought was the truth, but elsewhere it says that the creation on the sixth day was very good. That's what's incredible. I mean, that's what's incredible. That is why. How is it concealed? It is impossible to discover by those that try to do it. They can discover those that Yahweh gives them the keys to do so. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal the word, yet glory of the king, that group, is those that precisely will never say only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, because they've already said so. We've said it. The whole entire world won't say that. There's people that say it now, and there's people that will say it later. Yet the honor of the king is to search out the word. Jeremiah 16, 19 through 21. Yahweh, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, then they are not gods. That is why, behold, I will make it be known unto you this time. I shall show you the strength of mine arm, and ye shall know that my name is Yahweh. Very well. Malachi 2:17, that's why we have here the octopus, and we have Mr. Shark. Says, ye have wearied Yahweh with your words. And you say, in what have we wearied him? In that you say, that whomever doeth evil pleaseth Yahweh. And in such he delighted. Or else, where is the Elohim of justice? Who will be the God of justice? Where is he? Yahweh responds by saying, behold, I send you my angel, my messenger. He is the Elohim of justice. Do not expect for me to do justice, because that is not my plan of creation. It is not my plan of creation. Very well. First question that I want to answer today. Beloved Christian, I've seen strange things with witches, witchcraft, enchantments, and works, as they call it, works, etc. Could demons exist or something like that? Well, precisely, this is kind of like the question, but not equal to, about whether Yahweh ran, about the band that was demon-possessed in Gadara. But this question says, do demons exist? Because there is something that happens. Okay, my answer is, it won't be so precise, because the answer is, I believe, that something does exist. They're not fallen angels. They're not rebel angels. They're not angels that have been punished. But since Elohim is the creator both of good and evil, and pay attention to what I'm about to respond, because we all have seen, in some measure or another, weird things, because if you stop to think, and I'm not saying things that they have told you, because I don't even take those into account. We personally have seen weird things. What is it? Well, my answer is the following. Demons as such do not exist. Now the demons, we know that they are lies in the Bible. In Revelation, demons equal lies. But taking that out, I'm speaking about something that cannot be explained, of forces that are unexplainable. How is it that when you go to a witch and she does a little work to the person whom they do the work against, something can happen? They can even die. Things can happen to them. They can even make them not have children, or they tie them to a certain person, and the guy or the girl, inexplainably, they cannot leave and break a relationship, because there's something stronger. They either feel weak or sick, or there are so many things that could happen, so many things. Does that exist? Well, I have to answer that yes, it does. I have to tell you that it does. That witches and witchers, taking out all the charlatans, because there's lots of charlatans, of course, but taking out the charlatans, God is a God that has created both good and evil. And I believe, although I don't understand, that there are forces, just like in the movie Star Wars. Star Wars, there are forces. You have the force and the force of good, and you have the dark side of that force. In this, I have proven it. When one does good, and when one does things that bring you a benefit, and they are benefits that are visible for those that can see it, and they are something unexplainable, because it is not physical, it is spiritual, but it comes to the physical realm. For example, to be giving, to give your tithes, to give your offering, that right there, it's not that Yahweh was looking and say, did he give me, I'm going to bless him? No, it's a lot more than that. There is a law of forces that are benefactory, that are attracted when you do certain things. And it's because you can believe in God or not believe in God, doesn't matter. That'll be fulfilled either way. Because the people that are giving, those that understand that to give is better than to receive, they're benefited by a spiritual law that comes from an immaterial world, but because of the command of Yahweh, they become present in the material world. Not only those things, the decrees. I believe in the decrees, and I've taught you. When you believe, and there is where the faith that Yeshua mentioned, that when he said, if you had faith, you would make a mountain throw itself into the sea. if you had faith. And what does it mean to have faith? Well, for example, in this aspect that I'm speaking of, right? Not a blind faith in something that you haven't seen, but in a decree. When I say this has to happen, because I decreed, and it is something that is positive, and not just for you, it is positive for others, and it is very probable that if actually you pronounce it, feeling it, and believing it, it sounds like Christians now. The Christians, it comes through, comes true. And he says, no, God bless you. No, it goes way past that. There are forces that we do not know how to manipulate. And that's good, because or else this world's a disaster. But I'm telling you that there are forces that are at our reach. What do you think that prayer is? That you pray, our entire life we have prayed to Christ to help us, and maybe after the prayer, a miracle happens. Was that God, the one that answered us immediately? Or is there something more, which is an answer, an automatic answer to a decree? I am inclined to the latter, that there are forces of good and evil, and they are at my disposition. When I say, I cannot do this, forget it. The force of good that exists, which are intelligent, you see, it becomes complicated, which are intelligent. It's not that it's a being, okay, mind you? I could have an intelligent phone, it's not a being. It is an artificial intelligence per se, divine, but it's not a being that it's either good or evil, no. It is something that is in my favor. But when I say, I cannot do this, I am an idiot, I don't understand this, I cannot have this, I cannot buy a house, I cannot, so then that force, intelligent force says, well, he can't then. He can't, that's it, it's over. I'm not going to invest my force in that individual that does not want my help. He doesn't want my help, he doesn't want it, he can't. When you can't, you can't. But when you say, I will do this, an energy is created which you cannot see it. Maybe you can feel it because it's a positive energy, but which will transform your life due to a decree you made. A decree of saying, I will buy that house, or another house, or a better house. But I've decided it, I will do it, and I decree it. What is created is that, when I decree things, careful, because I feel the sensation. I even get goosebumps. Why? Because I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it, and I achieve it, mind you. Okay, when I say I'm going to do something, I will do it. There is no one that can stop me. No one that can stop me because I decree it. I decree it. If you don't have faith in this that I'm speaking, then you cannot utilize that force. It is available for you, but you don't want to use it because you don't believe in that force. This is just as you see it in the Star Wars movie, when the master tells the apprentice, the Jedi apprentice, he tells them, use the force. And the guy says, no, I'm not going to use anything. I don't believe in the force. That force is real, not that of the movie, but that force is real because it's at our reach. And sometimes we have used it without even noticing it. Praying to Jesus for this to be fulfilled because I want that. And so then, since we were taught to place our faith in Jesus, and we don't notice that Jesus answers us, and it is something which Yahweh placed at our disposition. That is more than just asking Jesus, because Jesus does not exist. If we were to ask Yahweh, then maybe, because if Jesus does not exist, never pray to Jesus, because Jesus, he will not listen to you. Maybe send him an email and he won't answer. He will not listen to you because he does not exist. And you say, but he's always answered me. Yes, what has he answered? Was it Jesus who answered you? No, you have to think about it. Was it Jesus? The one who died on the cross? That Jesus that I had in my mind? Did he answer me? Or did he answer me something else? What is it that he answered me? You can say, no, it was Yahweh who answered me. Yeah, but you didn't invoke Yahweh, and Yahweh so as to not go crazy with all the people asking him things and everything, he created a type of force, which is very paranormal per se, very extraordinarily powerful, but which we do not utilize because we don't believe in that. We deviate from that we're nothing and the Jesus, little Jesus, and baby Jesus, and the Virgin, everything that people believe in, but there's something available for us. Look, what if you were to believe my words? How beautiful would it be to have that source of energy? But you have to have faith that that force exists. And in order to have faith that it exists, you have to start to believe it and to develop faith in that, and afterwards use that to your favor. But when you do that, you will see a change in life because you start to decree things and you see that they are fulfilled. And it would seem to be magic, and it is a type of magic, very powerful indeed. The magicians use it all the time, and they're not Christians or anything that use it. And also the witches and witchers for good and evil, because that about a witcher unties what somebody tied down to you. They taught me that, of course. Me, no, not me ever, but some individual that they did witchcraft on. And the guy was sick, he goes to another witcher, and the witcher says, oh, they did witchcraft on you. They tied this down to you, this, you have this and that. You want me to untie it? It's this much. They taught me that it was the demons and Satan, his minions, and that Satan himself unties the work that he himself did. Do you understand what I'm saying? So then the witcher, the witch doctor does the cleansing and all that, and Satan divides himself because precisely Yeshua says divided government does not prosper, it falls. What is that? They're like, but Satan doesn't earn anything. The witch doctor earns that utilizes witchcraft. So they both went, the one that tied down and the one that untied. So then what's this about? No, they said, no, you are left even worse than before, because the first demons that they did the witching to before, and you go and ask for help, not Jesus, but another witcher, you're even more demon possessed, even worse. But the people say, but he cured me. Yeah, but he cured you, but you go straight to hell. Now there's no one to save you. And what if I were to tell you that it is all the handling, the command, and the annulment of forces, bad ones and good ones? The tree of the science of good and evil contain both things. We are in a world where there are invisible ones, but very powerful ones of good, if we will use them, and of evil also if we want to use them. Because if that were not true, there would be no witch doctors, there wouldn't be witchcraft or anything. Nothing. So say that's false, it does not exist. Yeah, it does exist. It does exist. The power of evil does exist just as much as the power of good exists. That's why when they ask me, do witches exist, witchcraft, enchantments, and all that? Yes. By command and law of Yahweh. Now. Elohim placed a protection, because or else it would be very very unfair for those that believe in the Creator. It would be very unfair, not in just any divinity, in the Creator himself. It'd be very unfair that we had no protection against that. So then for any person to come along and to cause harm, and for us to be going to someone else that believes more than us, because the witch doctor believes more than us. The witcher has more power because he believes more than us. The client does not believe in anything. He's just do the work. It's like a mechanic per se. A mechanic can break the car, and the client doesn't do anything. He takes it to another mechanic for him to fix the car. Why doesn't the client learn mechanic work? If he were to learn, he wouldn't take him to either one. You could destroy cars or fix them, because he already knows. Nobody can lie to him, but it exists. The mechanics exist, and the witches exist. Why do you think that Yahweh, if they weren't to not exist, he prohibited it so much in Israel? Because if they didn't exist, it's like, oh, those are stupid shit. Leave the witches alone, they're charlatans. No. He prohibited witchcraft. He prohibited under penalty of death. Why do you think Yahweh said, I don't want you to do any witchcraft whatsoever? Nothing. Why? Because it exists. Because he's the creator and he knows that it exists. And it's like as if to say, I don't want you to eat pork. Pork exists. But he says, I don't want you to eat pork. Then that's me, why? Fuck off. I don't care. But you, if you grab a pork, you can sell it to the goyim. Why? Because it doesn't bother me. It's not that you're evil. I don't want you to eat pork. But the others, if you were to grab one of those animals, you can eat it. You can sell it to them so they can eat it. Kick back. You understand what I'm saying? Okay, he says, I don't want there to be any witches or any witchers or anything like that here. Does it exist? Of course they exist because I made it. Yahweh says. He's not going to say that. I'm telling you that. I've made it into real power. In its power, the more you believe in it, the stronger it is. It is stronger. It even becomes embodied. Let me tell you, okay, it is something stronger than what you believe. But I will place a protection, Yahweh says, or else this would not be any good. And when he talks to Israel, he talks to those that he gave the book to. He doesn't talk to the Christians, mind you. The Christians are out of this protection. I'm about to explain it, why I believe they don't have this protection, why I believe, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but I've seen so many witchings within the Christians, I mean a whole lot. So then what is that? Yahweh says, this force of evil does exist, this force of good exists. Are you bored with this? I'll just cut it off. Talk about something else if they're bored. No? No? Okay. Because maybe they're bored. It says, we came to study, can we change the apocalypse? So then I didn't want to study about witchcraft. Okay. But I'm educating you. I mean, it's beautiful for the two forces to exist. Don't you see that as interesting? Of course, I find it super interesting, super interesting. So then, Yahweh said, you who I'm going to choose as a people, because the whole plan of creation, he had to speak to someone. Obviously, the plan, I mean, I love the plan of Yahweh. Tell the truth, I complain, I blame him for everything because it is my task and it is fulfilled in the rite of Yom Kippur. But taking that drawing away from that, I applaud what Yahweh did in my point of view. I love it. I love it because if he had made it easy for me, I would not have surpassed so many things that I have surpassed. So many things that I made an effort to achieve, which if it had been easy, then I would not have even had to do an effort, and the satisfaction of winning a battle is marvelous. A lot more marvelous than for it to be easy and you don't earn anything. A lot more marvelous. So then I love what Yahweh did. It fascinates me. I have an admiration that is exorbitantly, unexplainably so for Yahweh. No matter if I criticize him so much, no matter. That's all part of the things that we have to learn, which is part of creation. It's not because I hate him, or not in the very least. I love Yahweh like the most extraordinary being that exists. And if he says that's the way I'll do it, he thought that it was going to be so. And I find that to be perfect. I mean, there are things that we don't understand, but I find that to be perfect. But that doesn't take away that we have to blame him, because he wants us to blame him, or else he would not have invented the rite of Yom Kippur. It's not a criticism against Yahweh, none whatsoever, none whatsoever. I love him, I love him. I mean, we have been born in this world to persevere. Those who are bored with life, they don't understand it, they take their life, or they dedicate themselves to, I don't care about anything, I believe in anything, precisely, they won't have any type of honor in the world that comes. Are they going to have salvation? Yes. Because if he placed us in this struggle, because I don't want to forget about what I'm talking about, this is a game. It's a game just as much as a game as any game that you can play online, or at home, or on Sony PlayStation, or wherever. It's a game. You're not going to win it if you don't know the rules. You have to know the rules because it's by the rules. It's by the rules. So then, once you know the characters, you know what's convenient for you to do and what's not convenient for you to do. So then, if in the game, wherever it might be, there are things they have to avoid, Because it either reduces your health, or it reduces your life, or your weapons, or they're going to kill you directly. You're not going to last at all. So then there are things that in the game you learn to recognize as, I avoid these. And there are others that give you life. There are others that give you energy. There are others that give you weapons. There are others that give you a number of tools to win the game. And it's not so easy, because sometimes you have to practice and they kill you, you have to practice and they kill you, and you have to practice and practice until you become good. And once you defeat a boss or something stronger than you, you feel so good that you would never feel that way if you had defeated them without any weapons, without any effort or nothing, just with a little sword like that, cutting their heads off, you don't feel anything. But if it cost you hours and to train and to find little things and to find certain necessary articles, you feel such a satisfaction and a smile from ear to ear. Who takes that away? Well, that is only achieved through a field of battle. So then this life is here for you to identify the things that are not convenient. You have to identify them. When you see them, you hop over them. What do the people do? They crash and they crash, and that's where they're stuck. And then they say, I can't. I mean, the life gave me just nothing but lemons, and it's all bitterness. And with the first woman or man that they find, they marry, they crash as the most noobs in a game. But this game, this life is a game that you have to win. Yahweh tells you, He tells you clearly, he that perseveres to them, he shall get to the end of the game. And he that gets to the end of the game, he sits to rule. He's not going to sit to rule one that crashed in the first one, and that's where he stayed his whole life. No, here you have to win the game. Win the game. And to win the game means to understand the rules of the game. No one wins the rules if you don't wins the game if you don't understand the rules. What you can and cannot do, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, directly like that. To become stronger, to cross over obstacles, and of course it becomes better. So then in this life you start to identify all the options. If I were to tell you all the options in this world, everything he gave you, it's all at your disposition. I'm just explaining to you that there's, even to top it off, that there is a force of good and evil. It is at your disposal. What are you going to do with that? What are you going to say? No, God is unfair. He did this whole world dog shit, and tell you the truth, he gave me nothing but bad vibes since I was born. I don't want anything else. I want him to take my life, like our friend Jonas would say, for example, like he would say. Or are you going to say, well, okay, this is good. As long as I have life, I'm still in the game. Those that left, they're still out of the game. They're out. They're out. But the rest of us that are still here, we're still in the game. And I'm telling you that it's still a game. We are all with eternal life, all of us. But here in the game, it is the game. And since we're in the game, we're going to try to win it. And if we don't win it, we'll do our best effort to get it as far as possible, because the more you get there, the points are higher. Those that don't advance at all, they don't have any points. That points is there forever. That score is there forever. The ranking there is there forever. Those who achieve those that go through most things, those that kill more bosses. Bosses are the bosses. The big things, the difficult things, those that avoid the problems and the dangerous things. Not only do you see this in games, you see this in every aspect. Did you see, for example, that movie called The Labyrinth? Pan's Labyrinth, is that what it was called? Oh no, The Labyrinth of the Faun, right? Is that what it was called? The Labyrinth of the Faun? Of the sauna? No, not sauna. Okay, I don't know. Tell me the way it's called. Not in English. I don't want it in English. I want it in Spanish. The Labyrinth of the sauna. Of the faun? Okay, so then it was okay. The Faun's Labyrinth, right? Okay, that's the Spanish movie that's tremendous. Of course, if you watch it with a Christian mind, you're going to say, this is Satan, the devil. Satan himself appears there. Well, that's Satan right there. I don't want to tell it to you. I don't want to spoil it. But there are parts, like other things, in which a command is given to him. Go look for this. Don't touch anything. Don't eat anything. And so then the temptation was there. You shouldn't eat anything, but what happens? The girl goes and she wanted something, called her attention. So then we can see that in so many movies. In Aladdin, you remember Aladdin? When he entered into the cave, you should not touch anything in Aladdin. Nothing. And who was the one? Who was the monkey? Who was the one that touched something? The monkey? He grabbed the diamond or something like that. Then everything went to hell. Well, this is a game. We take life by the horns because we say this is the only life that I had and this dog shit. No. That's not the way to think. It's not dog shit. This is a game. I've been telling you from the first day that I started to speak here, this is a game and you have to play it no matter what position you were given, what cards you were dealt, what character you were given. That doesn't matter. You have to play it and play it in the best way possible and to win it. Not just play it, win it. And I teach you the rules. I teach you that the Creator planted all types of temptations in this world, all types of things that will make you fall and get lost and die. The Creator did this. And also He placed many things that help you to survive in the game and to get ahead. And it is within you what you will choose. He told Israel in a different way, I give you life or death. Before you, I make you choose. Today, it is a lesson. He gives us all that lesson, and I love it. I tell the truth, I love it. You don't have to see, like sometimes I have to paint it, this world is dog shit, that it's all injustice. No, none whatsoever. There's even an Elohim of justice prophesies that he had to come, that he would be raised. This game is to win it. Those that lose, well then of course they cannot get to the height of those that get the trophy. They can't. They have to win it. If it's by penalties, it's by penalties. If it's the best player in the world, Messi, is playing like dog shit, then you have to do something else to win the game, but you have to win it. Ecuador cannot beat us even though we play like dog shit. We have to, even if get a penalty or something, you have to kill yourself, and it's part of the game. Yes, it's part of the game. It's not the one that wins that has more skill, mind you. No. Here, it's about the one that has more will, and the one that starts to learn and says, I'm going to use this, I'm going to use this and that. Why do you think that we have so many games? Because Yahweh says this is a game. These little games, they're actually a representation of your life. This life is a game, and you have to play it this way. And to top it off, He gave us, wow, this is incredible, difficult, okay? It's the game of life. It is the game of life. To top it off, He gave us rules to know how our health is. That right there, it ended up being fucked up because, of course, how is your sugar, your blood pressure, how's your hormonal levels, how's your mind is, how are your pains, how are so many things. And to top it off, He says, yes, those are rules. If you learn them, how are your emotions? It's all based on emotions. It says if you learn those rules, then you get rid even of the sicknesses. You might say, nah, that's not true. I had to do this and that. I brought it from my grandma. My grandma was like this. My mom was like this. No, and no. Those that are intelligent, they receive information. The set of cards and said, these are the rules. And to put offices, I'll give it to you written. Those are the rules. If you see that something happens to your body, look for it. Change. If you say, this is the way I am, well, then stay there in the game. You will not advance onto the next level. You cannot advance. But those that say, no, what they gave you? Oh, you got, you know how in the dice, oh, you were dealt to this and that. You're going to have, for example, I don't know, this you will have. You say, what? I'm going to turn that around. No, you can't turn that around. And the whole world says, obviously, the game says you can't. You can't do that. What were you dealt? Oh, lupus, for example. Oh, you can't cure that. You're going to have to go to the doctor. He has to give you a whole bunch of medicine that's so expensive. And you're going to drink it by life for the rest of your life, so you'll die. But the originator of the game says, look, keep looking because I'll give you a solution. Look well, because look, the whole game, you look and it's desolating. There's no hope. Says, look well. You're going to try. If you find a little article that if you follow, you find the little thread and you learn and you leave it and you practice it. And, well, you're going to develop what you have, or else not, forget it. I mean, get fucked with it. But the solution is there. Wow. That's incredible. And that's what life is. That's what life is. The one that persevereth in the game of life until the end of the game, the same will be crowned. Words, exact, precise words by Yahweh in Revelation. Okay, so then, since there is a force of evil, there's also a force of good. Yahweh is made a protection for Israel. Who is Israel, you ask? The people that he gave the Torah to, that's what Israel is. And all those that believe in the God of Israel. That is why to believe in the God of Israel is not to be a Christian. The Christians don't believe in the God of Israel. They believe in the Son of the God of Israel. That's why they're Christians. Because they believe in the anointed of God, in the Christ. He told Israel this, a text which, to me, this text always helped me when it had to help me in respects to this matter. Numbers, you have to learn it by memory. Numbers 23:23. Numbers 23:23, precisely a number that is a very bad, lucky number, very unlucky. He placed it in numbers precisely. Numbers 23:23. Pay attention, because this is the secret, the maximum secret, a rule of the game. Right there, this is a game, this is a rule. He gave to Israel. He says, here you have this card. The rest don't have it. Careful, okay? The rest don't have it. Only Israel has this card. Now, if you go to Israel and you are part and believe in that God of Israel, then you grab that card for you. So then you advance to a different level. Numbers 23:23. I'll read it in the Spanish DHH. It says, against Jacob, which is Israel, surely there's no enchantment. But if the enchantments did not exist, what need is there to say that there's no enchantment against? Because then there's just not against Israel or against, I don't know, against Pepito. They're no good. If the enchantments did not exist, it would say the enchantments do not exist. Not against Israel, not against Rome, not against Babylon, not against Pepito. They don't exist. You understand what I'm saying? But here there's a card that says against Jacob or Israel, enchantments are no good. They have no effect. Against Israel, no witchcraft is any good. It's marvelous. I mean, it's good to know the rules of the game. It is beautiful to know the rules of the game. If you don't know them, then of course, all types of enchantments exist. Of course, no matter how much of a Christian you're going to get all types of enchantments if they want to do them against you, because maybe you don't have anybody that is angry against you or that does an enchantment against you, and then you're not harmed. But if you have a rival, somebody that hates you, you have a family that hates you, neighbors that hate you, and they have part or they pay for witchcraft, and you're not of Israel, then yes, they have all the weight of the enchantment against you. Okay, forget it. Nobody will save you from there. No one saves you there. Against Israel, you have a card of protection. It's no good. So then that intelligent force knows in its design that if someone wants to utilize it against Israel, that force says, no, I can't against Israel. I can't. There's no force there. I'm not going to get into that. And who is Israel? Israel are those that believe. Shemah Israel, Yahweh Eloheinu, Yahweh Ekhad. That is what Israel is. The Christians, what do they say? I believe in the Trinity. They're not protected. So then the Christians, they get enchantments. They're praying to the pastor prays for them. They take demons out, takes things out. They never know what happens. They end up going to witchcraft. They have this, and they pray to Jesus, and maybe they're lucky, or they go to some other crazy guy and says, I'll take that out from you. The Pentecostal pastors, they use those powers. They use them. It's not of God. They are of nature itself that Yahweh placed. They use them. Both Pentecostal, every last one of them, as also the witches or witchers. There's no differences between a Pentecostal says, I, in the name of Christ, tell you to rise from this chair. Sometimes they don't even rise up. They're kind of like, well, of course, if you have potency and you have that energy, I'd be a good Pentecostal, I can assure you. I can assure you. Because the people, maybe they believe me. I don't know. Nobody believes me. How many I have watching? Well, the fuck is going to believe me? No one believes me now. I have 253. They didn't even give us a like. They didn't even give us a like. There's a core quantity that don't give us a like. Let's see if the likes go up, or else I'll stop this already. I'll go eat pizzas and you deal with the forces then. Nah, I'll take that card away. I'll take that card away. And okay, let all the forces of the evil to affect you. I could give a fuck. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. There were some Christians saying, it was all great. Why does he use that language? And well, yeah, are the likes going to go up, or are they not going to want to go up? Okay. Okay. The likes went up. We're not getting to 300. I mean, I used to ask 300, and now I'm asking at least for 200. Yes. Maybe this subject, they liked it in something. Okay, so then against Israel, he says, the force is an intelligent force, both that of good as well as that of evil. They're separate, okay? Maybe only one alone that has the dark side and the side of the light. For example, in Star Wars, it was only one force. You had the force and the dark side, but it was the same force. The dark side would feel. He's like, I feel the force. Like, I feel the force very strongly. They would feel it. And in fact, Darth Vader, they told him, careful, don't let the force seduce you towards evil, because it's the same force, just like it's only one Elohim, just like it's only one tree. It's not that there are two separate forces, it's the same force. That is a side of light and a dark side. It is the same power, it's the same power. And it is an intelligent power. Intelligent, that is why we should not, and I've taught this already, to say bad things to the children, of telling them you're an idiot, because you are doing an invocation and you start to have it, your will stronger and believing it. Wow. You could not, that child will never lose that stupidity. They have to do a little job with somebody else to get that stupidity from them. If the husband starts to tell, I don't know what he could say, you're so ugly. Wow. The wife's going to feel uglier every time. That's why all the husbands, they want to see their wives. Well, I'm not getting in problems with their wives. That's what you were saying. No, careful, Leslie. If your husbands, you as husbands, you have to tell your wife, even if you have an ugly toad next to you, how beautiful are you? You are beautiful, sexy, beautiful. Why? Because you make her turn into that. Because we give decrees. It is very powerful what we say. With the word we create, God created with His word. We are gods. And now we are touching a little bit the surface of being gods. Of course, if we were worms before, we used to say any stupid shit and we didn't believe anything. But in the measure that you start to develop your mind in believing, when you start to give decrees and you start, I'm teaching you a power that is very strong. It is a power that is extremely, it is the strongest power in the universe. That's the way it is. That's why Yahweh says, if you knew how to use it, you could even move a mountain. And that actually it is. It is just like that. It actually is. We could walk on the water. We could do a whole bunch of things. Even though they might sound insane because it is our power, but we don't use it, and maybe we're a little bit limited because maybe when we use it even more, and Yahweh says, no, you would be dangerous with it. But can we use it? At least in a limited way? Yes, it is clear. And what we decree and we speak and we say and command, the more we believe that in our mind, the more it'll be fulfilled. That is why we have to say positive things always. It is to believe and create, but then after believing, it is to pronouncing it, because we can believe many things, but if we don't declare it, then they are not done. Yahweh did not create thinking. It was by speaking. It was by His word. And if we start to understand that we are gods, then we start to understand why the witchers have so much power, why certain Pentecostal pastors have power. For what reason? Because there's a lot of charlatans. Of course there are. There are many things that are true. Way too many things that are true. There are more things that are true. People actually do fall, they faint. Many do heal because they believe. In fact, already with the biodecoding, just by believing and understanding the relation between what happened to you with what is happening now, related to what you're going through, the healing process starts already. That it's through word, the word. The word heals. It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. So then, against Israel, there is no enchantment. Against Israel, no divination exists. Now it is precise to say unto Israel, how many marvels has Elohim brought with you? And of course, Yahweh, our Creator, gave us tools. And He gives us tools in the measure that we need them, or we are mature enough to use them. So then, witchcraft, all those that actually believe that Yahweh is one, what we believe, no matter how much witchcraft they might want to do against us, they bounce off. I don't have to be dealing with that negative energy of some being that wants to hurt us or harm us through utilizing that force. There's no, it cannot be enter. It just can't. Now, I also should not use ever that force, the malicious one, the evil one against other people. That also, because I'll end up paying for it. Because it's part of the rules of the game also. Now, can I take the positive part of the force? Absolutely. The more I take, the more I believe it, and the more I practice it, and the more I utilize it and declare it and decree it, the more force and the more Jedi, the more witcher for good will I be in the use of the force of good. And there will come a time in which you decree something actually that you need, and things come true. Things will come true because you decreed it. If you decree it and say, I'm going to test this out, no. This takes force. It's like a muscle. So then that force of good comes towards you, and you utilize it now. The question is, dear Christian, I've seen strange things with witches and witchcraft, enchantments, and little words like that. Do demons exist? No, demons don't exist. Or something like that? Yes. The force exists, which Elohim placed in this world, which is force for good and force for evil. The force is one and the same, depending on how you want to utilize it. We, about using it, we should learn to use it, and for good. For good. Because the Elohim of justice uses it for justice, not for injustice, for justice. So then it does exist, and I believe that it's just as powerful that it can be embodied in something like a being, like something you see, like noise, like knocking, like whatever, because it's a force. It's a force, an intelligent force that can be manipulated, handled. You understand what I'm saying? That's where you have the myths of the crying lady and demons and apparitions about writings. Do I believe it? Yes, I believe it. Can it affect us? If you really are an Israelite, it won't affect you. And if you're an Israelite and it affected you in some way or something, then revise what you believe in. In other ways, decree and command that force, and it has to leave. It has to leave immediately. That it made a mistake. It says, no, Israel's here, and you are out of here. I don't want to see you never again. Weird things that may happen about apparitions and noises, deaths of pets, even some harm that it's not a human being or something way past what a human would do. Inexplainable. You have to say and decree, this will no longer happen. And you'll see how this will take on an effect immediately if you believe it. And remember to memorize Numbers 23:23, what you should never do, which is what I learned when I was little, to evoke the name of Christ. By the name of Christ, that never works. That's the only thing you know. And maybe it works. Maybe it worked because that's all you knew. It's the only card you had to play. The only thing, by the name of, that is just as worth as by the name of Heman. The same thing. By the blood of Christ, it has no force, no power against that force. The only force that has against that force is for you to be Israel. And if you're Israel, it has all the force. It is a wall of protection against that force. But I do not want to not utilize that force. I want to utilize that force positively for my own benefit, my profit, and if I can for others, then also, but for my profit. You know why sometimes it works? Why sometimes it works in the things that we've seen, those prayers and chain letters, chain prayers, because everybody places their intention there. Let us pray for this person, and hundreds of people. Sometimes it doesn't work and that person left. But sometimes it does work. And sometimes that person says, oh, they're praying for me. I feel so well. That thing for them to feel well, it could be a little grain of faith of every person that has been praying. The force goes in. The force says, well, okay, let's leave him alone, for example. But with a powerful guy against decrees, it destroys that if the force is there. Don't think that every evil that is in your life is the force. No, I was going to say something, but let's suppose that you were born with something stupid thing marked, and you inherited all the lies that there's so don't believe that, oh no, the enchantment's the force. No, what I'm teaching you is for you to use the force in your favor. Decrees something that's happening in your life and you cannot achieve it. Start to decree it until you believe it. Decree it. This ends now. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to do this and that. I'm going to do it like this. And that force has contact in all the earth. If you have a friend with contacts, even in the highest sphere, that's where the force is. So then, when you decree something, things start to, it's like a machinery, it's a machine, they start to work. What you didn't think that you were going to get this or that, the machine, the wheels start turning, and then everything comes out, and oh yes, wow, and this guy, they even give him papers, I don't even know, because he was a wetback, and all of a sudden he becomes a citizen. It is the force. But it is, you give movement to the force or not. That's the way it is. It's both for good and evil. If you use it for evil, then evil will come on you, of course. Because if you say, I can't do this, I'm an idiot, I'm in this and that, I'm no good. No, I'm just saying, in what sense? People that are envious, that, oh no, yes, if you utilize the force for envy, like you say, It works, but then you pay for it. Every time you utilize it for evil, it comes back with the receipt that charges you, the bill. You get the bill. The karma exists. It's part of it, of course. Obviously. And how many things have gone in their life, and they don't analyze how many things. Exactly. Completely. If you utilize that force with envy, starting with envy, covetousness, and how do you call it? And greed, which is almost the same word in Hebrew. Avarice and greed is the same. I couldn't understand that's the way it is. Because to be avarice is envious is the same thing. So then I teach you. Card is given you. Yahweh tells you, if you give your tithes, I will open so many blessings that, but you don't believe it. Then they write to me, Brother Christian, it's been time that I haven't given the tithes because things are not going well economically. And to me, I don't even write them back because already I'm sick and tired. But what can I answer them? This. And it'll go worse. Because you don't understand it. You haven't learned the use of the force. You don't understand it. You don't understand it. It's as if someone were to say, well, I don't know. They're always, the witches are throwing bad vibes towards me. They understand that that's Israel. You can revert that. You can revert all that. You have to revert that. If you think, if you do in this game what you want, because you're a player. You're a player. You have to get to the end. He that persevereth in the game till the end, the same shall be crowned a king. But you have to get there, okay? If you don't get there to the kingdom, you're left back. You're left behind. That's the way it is. And oh well. Wow, I've been speaking to you an hour and a half already. Impressively, what I've told you is a lesson of life. It's a life lesson. In fact, I should close it right here because what I've told you, you cannot even pay for it. Because actually, I am teaching you that you have a force at your disposition that if you use it, you will do things that are unthinkable, incredible, just as much as when Yahweh says, for this to move, for that to move, you would do things incredible if you utilize this force. And this force is here for you to utilize. Well, these are the only questions I'll read. I'm not going to read another one. Now let us go on to a different subject. Proverbs 1:23, the Spanish DHH. Pay attention unto my corrections and explanations, and I will fill you with my spirit. I will make my thoughts be known unto you. Absolutely marvelous text. Wisdom and Discipline, part 24. Can we change the Apocalypse 7? In the literal sense that if we don't understand the Apocalypse, and the Apocalypse says that everyone will die? Yes, obviously, yes. Now, in the profound sense, there's no need to change it because the Apocalypse already tells you that it won't happen. So then there's no need to change it. My words will not happen because heaven and earth will not stop existing. Isaiah 14:26-27. This is the purpose that is purposed upon the whole earth. And this is the hand that is stretched out upon all the nations. For Yahweh of hosts hath purposed it. And who shall disannul it? And his hand is stretched out. And who shall turn it back? It is very clear that is the question. The people say no one. And Yahweh says, yes, of course there is one. The Elohim of justice. Absolutely. I want to go back because people have asked me, they commented, some, they really liked what I spoke about Job, others didn't really understand it. Someday we'll study it. I don't know if Yahweh, I don't know how much longer he'll have us here. But we'll study the book of Job, because the book of Job is good in many aspects, but it's still a story. A ridiculous story in the sense of what the story is in itself, but it gives us teachings we want to take out. That's what the story is for. So that we draw all the profit, so that it is good for greater possibilities of winning this game. That's what Job is for. Because all of Scripture teaches us secrets of different situations, how to win this game. So then he presents this story. This story is not true. It never happened. It never existed. There isn't the least chance that some guy called Job existed, who someday God gathered together his sons, according to Job, and that within them a certain Satan came, and that Satan told him, you see, Job, he loves you because you protected him. Take the protection away and you'll see how he curses you. That never took place. That is an allegory. I want you to understand it well. I'm not saying that maybe it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Such Job does not exist. That Satan does not exist. The sons of God don't exist that got together of anywhere. The only sons that exist are we. And I have no memory of having gathered together with a certain Satan some time ago to speak about Job. No. Because if I had been in that gathering, I would have raised my hand and said, Satan, don't be ridiculous. Why don't you go mind your own business and stop breaking our balls? And this poor guy, Job. Oh, then okay. So then, nothing of what took place in this story is real. Now, does it help us in every way? I'll read it. Job 1, 13 through 19. Job 1, 13 through 19 says, and there was a day when his sons and his daughters already, this story had happened, that Satan came, and I'm just letting you know, I'm not studying the book of Job right now. I just want to highlight a point, just to answer certain people that wrote to me. And it took place one day that his sons and daughters, how many sons did Job have? How many sons? He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. 7 sons plus 3. In other words, he had a total of 10 sons and daughters, 7 male and 3 female. And it took place that his sons and daughters ate and drank wine in their eldest brother's house. They weren't doing anything, I wouldn't want to say that they weren't doing anything bad. They were doing things that were extremely good, you know, gathered together as a lineage, enjoying spectacularly. Because they were in the house of the eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job and said, the oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them, and the sea beams fell upon them and took them away. Yeah, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword. They have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped along to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, he was yet speaking. There came also another and said, the fire of God is falling from heaven. What do you call the disasters, natural disasters? In English, I've told you, what do they call them? They're called acts of God. Acts of God. So then who? The devil? No, God. Of God. Any natural disaster in English is called acts of God. So then it says fire came from heaven, from God, and burned up the sheep and the servants and consumed the servants and pasture, consumed them. When was the last time you saw fire fall down from heaven? No, okay, moving on. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels They didn't kill them. There were too many. They were too valuable and had carried them. They stole from them. Yeah, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, thy sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, another act of God, and smote the four corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose, he suffered, he was robbed, destruction. They looted him and also murdered not only those 10 children, I mean, innumerable disasters that it would never befall us. Maybe one out of all, but this everything happened all in one day. When you think that something, your life is bad, think about Job, although he doesn't exist, but think about Job, that he was kicked back and everything happened to him. Not one of his 10, but all 10 died of his sons, not one slave, but all the servants. They didn't steal one camel, all the camels were stolen. Not one sheep was dead, they all died. Wow. And according to Job, according to the Christians, all this was the product of Satan, because God allowed it. Okay. Let's go to Job chapter 2:7. That is not how God was satisfied, but he did something that we could say even worse for the body of Job. Job 2:7. So when Satan forth from the presence of Yahweh, and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot unto his crown. I got to see my dog with scabies, and I cured him many times. He was already old. And I can now know why scabies is produced. What mode or what action of mine had affected the dog. It is actually impressive. Because what is scabies? Well, scabies are little bugs that I can't remember. It's called, I mean, it's a type of bug or parasite. I don't know if it's a parasite or a bacteria. I think it's more of a parasite, bigger. Which, well, that is not what scabies is, but what science says it is. Which it installs stuff in your skin and it eats up your skin. That's not what it is. Those little bugs exist? Yes, they do. But why are they there? They're there because you yourself have hurt the skin. And they come to eat all the dead part of your skin. Can they hurt even more? Yeah, they could hurt more of what. It's complicated how this subject works. But I've seen my dog with scabies and I cured him many times. Because I learned to cure him with the best thing that there could be. I tried oil, burnt oil, burnt oil, not quickly, but once I discovered what cured him quickly, it was sulfur. A sulfur cream that immediately kills those, whatever they're called. Can somebody tell me? It's mites. They're mites. A type of mite. Type of mite. As if that were to help me to understand it even over there, it's mites. And the sulfur cream that here they sell them with the face of a horse, which is good. It would liquidate the mites, and in 2 and 3 days you can see that new skin like a baby. Because that scabies is horrible. I've never seen something more horrible. The living flesh, you would touch it and you see the living flesh open like that. Not skin, but just flesh. Poor thing. And he had gotten here in his ears. He was already old, that dog was. So I would cure him, he would get cured completely, but then again he would get it until he died. Not because of that precisely, but he died. Now, what is scabies? Well, we know, because of the rules that we were given us to play, that all types of sicknesses of the skin, especially scabies, is a conflict of contact. Evidently, it's a contact conflict. And when I talk about a contact conflict, it's both things. The desire to be touched, and they don't touch me. And also, there is the desire that they don't touch me and they touch me. It goes both ways, like all conflicts. To wish to be caressed and they don't caress me, or to wish to not be caressed and being caressed. That is a contact conflict. So then when one starts to understand more about these things, how do we play this game with these rules, I've noticed that it happened with my dog, obviously. Now taking that out, the one that it happened to was Job. And Job receives this conflict, contact conflict, as if he were a poor dog, incredibly so. Of course, this never took place. And it never took place due to the conflict that Job suffered, because no one has a conflict of that nature, that from the head to the toes. I mean, it's all scabies. It's inconceivable. It is just because Yahweh thought so, or that Satan wanted to cause him to live a plague. A conflict that's brutal and unimaginable, that cannot be equaled, and pain that cannot be equaled, a violation in his whole body. And I can say this, I don't think I have problems with YouTube. Yahweh vaccinated him. Vaccine Job. Yes. Yahweh vaccinated him. Because what he gave him, he placed them in, and he got that. Scabies. Yahweh vaccines you. Whether you liked it or not, Yahweh vaccinated him. Now, some I've been written as if questioning about Job, if it was God or not. In the end of the book, I had already told you this years ago. Too bad I didn't read it the other day, but let's read how this story ends. And I'll also read to you how the Christians would wish to have read the story, because there are many translations, Christian ones, that are pretentious, and there are others that, well, they try to say what it says, but well, there are Christian ones that cannot accept what is written, and so then they draw and they put something else. Let us go to see who inflicted Job to be robbed, looting, murder, plagues, even vaccines, and immeasurable pain. Who was it? Job 42:11. I will start to read it in the Spanish RV 1960. It says, and they came to him, Job, all his brethren and all his sisters, and that his sons and daughters were dead. It's terrible, terrible. This story, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and they did eat bread with him in his house, and they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that Yahweh had brought upon him. Who brought the evil upon Job? Was it Satan? Yes, of course it was Satan, because Satan is Yahweh. It says clearly of all. How much? All. And all is Yahweh did. Cause looting, robbing, destruction, terrible destruction, murder, and to top it off, personal violation to his body of all his skin, as if it was through what the medicine does now, give or take. It would seem to be the result of what they give you. Of all that evil, the word is raw, evil, that Yahweh had brought upon him. Who brought that evil upon him? Yahweh did. Do not doubt it. None whatsoever. It wasn't Satan, it was Yahweh.
¿Cómo le
How
encantaría leer
would
esto a los
the Christians
cristianos?
love to read this? Yes,
Si ellos,
if they,
algunos
if some decide,
pero si
but
ellos
if they
pudieran,
could, they
pondrían
would
de
say of
todo
all
aquel mal
that evil
que
which
Yahweh
Yahweh
había
had
permitido
allowed
sobre
upon
él.
him.
Ay, qué lindo.
Oh, how
ese
beautiful.
término.
Allowed.
Permitido.
No.
Había que tener un
They
poder
had to have
divino
a
para hacer lo que
divine
hicieron.
power
Fuego
to do what they
del
did there,
cielo, un
fire
viento
from
que
heaven,
destruye una casa
wind that destroys a house
que habrá estado
that
bien
should have
construida.
been very well built.
Algo
Something
muy,
very,
pero muy
very
fuerte,
strong.
la
It is
fuerza
stronger is the
bien de la
force
maldad
of
para
evil to
traerle
break
sarna
him
en todo
scabies
el
over all his
cuerpo,
body,
y toda la clase
and
de
all
muertes
types
y
of
robos que
deaths
hicieron.
and looting
Era
that they did. It
mucho
was a
más
lot
que
more
un
than
ser
a
llamado
being
Satanás,
called Satan. It was
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Todo
All
aquel
that
mal
evil
que
which Yahweh,
no
not
Satanás,
Satan,
porque acá
because
debería
here it
decir
should
que
say
Satanás
Satan
había
had
traído
brought
sobre
over
él,
him,
y que
and that
Yahweh había
Yahweh had
permitido.
allowed. No.
¿Quién lo
Who
trajo?
allowed it? Yahweh.
Y cada
And
uno de
every
ellos le
one
dio
of
una
them
pieza
gave
de
him
dinero
a piece
y un
of
anillo de oro.
coin and a
Vamos
ring
a
of
leer
gold.
como
Let
dice
us
la
see how it says in the Kadosh
La Biblia
version,
Kadosh israelita
the
mesiánica,
Israeli
Job 42:11.
Messianic version, Job 42:11. Then
Entonces, todos sus
all his
hermanos y
brethren
hermanas
and
vinieron a él,
sisters came to him,
también
and
todos
also
los
all
que lo
who
habían
had
conocido
known him
antes, y
before,
ellos
and
comieron
they
una
did
cena
eat
con él
bread
en
with
su
him in his
casa.
house.
Ellos lo
And they
consolaron
bemoaned
y lo
him and
confortaron
comforted
por
him
todos
over
los
all the
males, o sea, no
evils,
todo mal
in
en
plural,
singular,
not
sino en
singular, but
plural,
plural,
por todos
due to
los
all the
males
evils
que
that
Yahweh
had
había
inflicted,
infligido, no
not brought,
traído,
inflicted
infligido
upon
sobre él.
him.
¿Quién se los
Who
infligió?
inflicted him? Yahweh.
Te lo dice la
The
misma historia.
Satan story
misma
tells
historia
you,
te lo
it
dice,
tells you,
Yahweh.
Yahweh did.
¿Quién nos
Who
inflige todas las
inflicts
cosas?
all things? Yahweh
Yahweh.
does.
Pero también Yahweh
But
nos
also
da un
Yahweh
poder
gives us a power
para
to
defendernos,
defend ourselves,
un
a
poder
power
para
to
multiplicar
multiply
nuestras armas
our weapons
y para saber
and to know how to
elegir.
choose.
Dios en
He
este-
gave
en
us
este
this in this
juego.
game, all these things,
Que
which Yahweh
había
had inflicted
infligido
upon
sobre
him.
él. Cada uno le
Every
dio
one of
una
them
pieza
gave
de
him a
plata
piece
y
of
un anillo de
silver
oro.
and a ring of gold.
Voy a
I'm going to
leer
read
en una
now in a
traducción
translation
que no les
which
pareció
they
y
didn't like it,
dijeron,
and they said, no,
hay que
we have
cambiar
to change this.
esto.
Job
Job
42:11,
42:11, nueva
New
traducción
Living
viviente,
Translation, the
NTV.
New Living Translation.
Entonces todos
Then all
sus
his
hermanos
brothers,
y hermanas
sisters, and
anteriores
former
amigos
friends
vinieron
came
y
and
festejaron
feasted
con
with
él
him
en
in
su
his
casa.
home.
Lo
And they
consolaron
consoled
y lo
him
alentaron
and
por
comforted
todas
him
las
because of all the
pruebas que
trials
el
that
Señor
Yahweh
había
had
enviado
brought
en su
against him.
contra. Las
The
pruebas.
trials.
¿Qué fueron
What
las
were the
pruebas?
trials? They
Mataron a
killed
sus
his sons and
hijos,
daughters.
destruyeron
They
todos sus
destroyed all
bienes,
his
se robaron
assets.
todo,
They stole
terminaron con
everything.
todas
He
las
ended up
armas.
with
Son
scabies.
pruebas.
Those are the trials. Those are the trials.
Los cristianos
The
les
Christians would
encantaría,
love
les
to
da
have everything. Other
pruebas.
trials.
Sí, Dios nos
Oh,
prueba. No,
God tests you. No,
absolutamente no.
absolutely not.
No dice
It does not.
dice
The Bible
los
says it
males
says
que
the
Yahweh
evils that
infligió sobre
Yahweh
él,
inflicted
no las
upon him, not the
pruebas.
trials.
¿Qué dice
What does it
la-
say in
la
the
Torre
Torah Samat version?
La
The
Torre
Torah
Samat
Samat version,
me
I
gustó
liked it.
Esta
I like this
traducción
translation,
y lo
and
relaciono con
relate
otra
it with
cosa.
something else.
Job
Job
42:11,
42:11, Torres Amat.
dice,
It says,
vinieron luego
then
a
there
verlo
came
todos
to
sus
see him
hermanos
all
y
his
todas sus
brethren and
hermanas,
sisters,
y cuantos antes
and
lo habían
all who had
conocido
ever
y
known him
tratado,
before,
y
and
comieron con él
dealt
en
with
su
him and
casa.
ate with him in his
Le
house.
dieron
And
muestras
they gave
de su
him
tierna compasión,
tokens of their
consolándolo
compassion,
de
consoling
todas
him
las
of all the
tribulaciones.
tribulations.
Acá no
Here they
usaron
didn't
mal
say
ni
evils or
males,
evil.
usaron
They used the word
tribulaciones
tribulations,
que
which
el
the
Señor
Lord
le
had
había
sent
enviado.
him.
Le dio cada
And
uno de
each one
ellos
of them
a
gave
modo de
him
presente
as a
una
present
oveja
a
y un
sheep
zarcillo
and
de
a
oro.
golden ring.
¿Por qué me gustó
Why do I like
esto?
this one?
Y porque podemos
Well,
relacionar
because we can relate it perfectly well.
La gran
The great
tribulación
tribulation is
igual
equal
al
to the
gran
great
mal
evil
de
of Yahweh.
Gran
Great
que
tribulation
todos los
that all the
cristianos
Christians and
nosotros
we
estamos preocupados,
are
que
worried
se viene la
that the
gran
great tribulation is coming
como
like
nunca
never
hubo ni habrá,
before or ever again will
donde no va a
be,
quedar ni
where
el oro.
not even the parrot will be left.
Es el
It
gran
is
mal
the
de
great
Yahweh.
evil of Yahweh.
Exactamente.
Exactly.
Gran tribulación,
Great tribulation,
gran mal
great
de
evil of Yahweh.
No de nosotros,
Not of
no del
us, not of the
gobierno, no de
government,
Babilonia,
not
de
no,
Yahweh.
of Yahweh.
Es el gran
It
día
is
de la
the
ira, el
great
gran mal de
day of
Yahweh,
evil
la gran
of the great tribulation of Yahweh.
A todo esto,
To all this,
vamos a ir a otra historia.
let us go to another story, a
¿Puede
parable.
Yahweh
Can Yahweh
reconstruir el
rebuild the temple
que es la
which is
humanidad.
humanity. because humanity has a temple which has very much destroyed. And I'm not speaking about society, but I'm referring to our temple. It's destroyed, contaminated, corrupted, almost dead, that needs to be reconstructed, filled with life, filled with death taken out, that we all have written, to take out the anxiety that we take, and even more those that are starting to grow, and those that are dead. I mean, don't even mention it. You have to reconstruct everything, which is most of them have lost that temple. We have to reconstruct it. The rest, they have to repair it. You have to change it and reconstruct it. But the rest, I mean, forget it. They don't even have a temple. Okay, can Yahweh reconstruct the temple? For us, that is why we are shown the story, which is a parable. And according to the story in the parable that I'm going to read now, it cannot. Just like that, it cannot. Because that is why the stories are for. Because for him, for him to teach us the rules of the game, Yahweh can't. Because he himself says, no, I can't. Another shall have to do it. How's the other one called? The Eloheinu of Justice, the Mashiach. First Chronicles, or first book of Chronicles, the first book of Chronicles, 22:6 to 10. First Chronicles 22, 6 to 10, and I'll read in the Jerusalem 2001. Michael's already hungry, I'm also hungry, I'm about to leave you. 2 hours. And how was England? What was the score? Let me check. Nobody tells me. I want to see how England turned out today. Who won? Oh, they won in penalties. They beat Switzerland 5-3. They won in penalties. England. So England passed. Now the one that's going to be playing. Wow. I'm sick and tired of something. Well, I mean, so many things I'm sick and tired of, but there's something that I will never accept, ever. For Holland to be called the Netherlands. It upsets me so much to say the Netherlands, and I see the commentators, all the ones in soccer, and they say, in the Netherlands, why don't you fuck off to your mother's cunt? I know they pay you in the channel, and say Netherlands, don't say anything, say Holland. It's called Holland, that fucking country. What do you mean Netherlands? My balls, Netherlands. I hate for them to say the Netherlands. I want to change that channel. Oh, the Netherlands. Argentina beat the Netherlands. What do you mean? In Spanish, it sounds like the lower countries. And it's called Holland. And in English, it's Holland. Holland. Okay, in English. And in Spanish, it's Holland. They want to change that. In fact, I heard a Dutch guy that they asked him, and how do you prefer for them to call you, Netherlands or Holland? He says, we're Holland. What do you mean Netherlands? What do you mean Netherlands? Holland. Holland, sirs. Okay. And we don't have any Dutch people here, okay, to be able to confirm. Yeah, we do. What does Netherlands means? Lower lands? Okay, look it up how they call themselves. Netherlands? In English. How do they call themselves? Look it up. I heard it, a Dutch guy say it. Not a lower land person. What do we call somebody from Holland? What do we call them? Oh, I am from the lowlands. The lower lands. Holland. So then you can all fuck off to the fucking bitch that bore you if you say Netherlands. Okay, that's it. That is my dedication of today to all those that are waiting for some sort of that language. So then the one that playing, I almost misread it. Holland is playing. Anda para allá, on over there. What did he come? What you looking at? What did he say? You idiot! Those idiots are playing. Looking at what are you looking at? Look over there. Go that way. Those idiots are playing. They're losing, these idiots against Turkey. Let's go Turkey. Holland, very low countries, very low country. If that is the sense, then yes, very lowered countries. No, Holland is losing 1-0. Wow, and they are in minute. Oh, wow, it's about to end. They're about to end. It's about to be wrapped up. Wow. 48. But hold on, it's about to end, or did it start at 11? No, it's about to end. No. It's about to end. The first time. Yeah, it's the first half that's going to end, and they are losing. Wow. We should not decree anything, but let's continue on. Just continue on. Just continue. Quebec playing at a lower level. Very well. It's because they hate us. The Dutch, they hate us, all the Argentinians, because the opportunities, and where we have to kick them out, we take them out. We always cancel them. Argentina, 1978, it was the orange machine that accused us that we paid for Peru, we paid for this. We didn't pay Holland. So then they accuse us that we paid for that World Cup. There's no way of paying Holland. That orange machine, there was no way. In fact, in the overtime, they came, in fact, or in the last minute of regular time, they come and they shoot against Filiol's goal, and it hits right on the post of Holland against Argentina. You think that for all the idiots, you paid for the... Don't be idiots. I mean, you're idiots. Holland wanted to win it in Argentina. They played to the end. They fought to the end. They were 1-1. In the regular time, in a minute is left, they shoot, and it hits on the post of the goalie, who was such a goalie, whose name was Filiol in Argentina, Pato Filiol, and it hits on the post. You think that they said, I'm going to hit the post, and well, if we win it, even if they paid for us, I mean, I'm sorry, we won't. No! Holland wanted to win. And Holland could not score that goal, and we were into extra time, and we scored even 2 more, and it was spectacular final, spectacular, the orange machine, because they revolutionized the way of playing soccer. The defenders would go, everybody would attack. It's a game changer. That's why they called it the orange machine. Before, soccer was more for those who were the defenders, they stay back. They were mid players. They said, no, this is total soccer. If you, in the moment in which the defender can attack, and if the defender is attacking, then the midfielder goes back, and they all switch back, and they play soccer, what you call total soccer. In total soccer, they really had to shove it up their ass, because Argentina won 3-1, and we were champions of the world in 1978. And of course, now we meet again. And what happened? Then anda pa allá, bobo. Was like, head on over there, you idiot. Go on to your locker. Now it's good for them to lose. It is very good for them to lose. Very well. So then, the question, can Yahweh reconstruct the temple of humanity? First Chronicles 22:6-10. Here we speak about everything from soccer, about strange forces, and also biblical stories. Then he called for Solomon his son, in other words, David, and charged him to build an house for Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. David said to Solomon, my son, here it is. This is the key that is concealed of a reality that's marvelous. My son, as for me, it was in my mind to build an house unto the name of Yahweh my Elohim. But the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, thou hast shed blood abundantly, and hast made great wars. Thou shalt not build an house unto my name. I mean, come on. You killed half the world. You have made so many wars. No matter they were just or not, doesn't matter. You have spilled way too much blood. You have made many wars. You will not be able to build the temple of my name. For thou hast shed much blood before me. That is the secret. The one that spills blood has no right to rebuild the temple. And the one that causes many wars, not that either.
que te van a hacer
Behold, a son shall be born to thee,
que será
who shall be a man of
es lo que
rest,
significa
of peace. That is
Shlomo.
what Shlomo means.
Porque nosotros decimos
Because we
Salomón.
say Solomon.
El nombre
The
es
name is
Shlomo,
Shlomo,
que viene
which comes
directamente
directly
de
from
Shalom.
Shalom.
Es lo mismo.
It's the same
Le
thing.
cambian
They
una
just
cosita
change a
para
little
en vez
bit
de
to
pronunciar
be able to,
Shalom,
instead
que
of
sabemos
pronouncing
que es
Shalom,
paz,
which we know is peace,
Shalom,
Shalom.
Shalom significa paz.
Shalom means peace.
Shabbat Shalom,
Shabbat
paz
Shalom
en
is
el
peace on the Shabbat.
Y Shalom,
And Shalom,
le cambiaron
they
dos o
changed
tres
that
cositas
little
para
tiny
que
things for it
suene
to sound
Shlomon.
Shlomon.
Y Shlomo,
And Shlomo,
que la misma palabra
which
que
is the same
Shalom,
word as Shalom,
es lo que nosotros
is
conocemos
what
por
we know
Salomón.
as Solomon.
Nada que ver con el
It
original.
has nothing to do with the
Pero por
original,
eso dice,
but that's why it says,
mira que te van a hacer
behold,
un
the son
hijo
shall be
que
born
será
into thee, who
hombre
shall be
de
a man
Shalom,
of Shalom,
hombre de paz.
man of peace.
Le
And I will
concederé
give him
paz,
rest or peace,
Shalom,
Shalom,
con todos sus
from
enemigos
all his
alrededor.
enemies around about.
La profecía,
Wow, a prophecy,
que
notice
ahora esta figura
that now this
mesiánica ya no
messianic
es David,
figure is
sino
no longer
Salomón.
David, but Solomon.
Entonces, tienen
So
que
then,
proyectar
now you have
para
to
qué sirve
project
esta historia.
yourself what the story's for.
Para contarme una
To
historia
tell
de
me
la
just the
antigüedad,
story
no, eso no
of the
sirve.
ancient times. No, that's not what it's good for. It's not good for
Si no
anything.
me cuenta
If it doesn't tell
una
me
profecía
a prophecy
que tenga
which
relación
is
conmigo,
related to me,
no es válida
it is
y
not
no sé por qué
valid,
está
and
en
I
el
don't know even know why
Yo
it's
lo
in the
miro
book.
así.
That's the way I see it.
Entonces,
So
esta
then,
historia
this story
está hablando del
is speaking
Mesías.
about the Messiah,
Y el
and
Mesías
the Messiah
primero, que fue
first,
David,
which was David.
dice, yo no puedo
He says,
construir,
I cannot
reconstruir el
build
templo,
the temple, rebuild the
porque
temple,
tengo mucha
because I have
sangre.
lots of blood.
¿Quién es el que tiene más
Who
sangre
has
de
most
todos?
blood of them all?
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
El primer Mesías
First of all, the
que
first
vino.
Messiah that came here.
Yahweh es el mayor
Yahweh is the
asesino de
greatest
todos.
murderer of them
Es
all.
más,
In fact,
es el único
he's the
asesino de
only
todos,
murderer
porque él nos
of them
dio la
all, because
muerte.
he gave us
Por
death.
él morimos todos.
We all die due to
A
him.
veces,
Sometimes,
aunque no
even
muramos
though we don't
por la
die
maldición que
due
nos
to
dio,
the
nos
curse
mata
that he gave us, he
directamente.
kills
Si no,
us directly.
pregúntale a
Or
los
else just
diluvianos,
ask the
pregúntele
people
a
before the
Sodoma y
flood,
Gomorra,
or
¿qué pasó
Sodom
con
and
los
Gomorrah,
chicos
what
ahí?
happened with
¿Qué
them
pasó?
there? Hey, what happened?
Murieron de...
Did
Pregúntale a
they die?
Moisés.
Ask Moses.
Moisés estaba tan
Moses
bien que no
was
le
so
fallaba
well
la vista,
that
subió
his
una
sight
montaña.
wasn't
Yo no
failing.
subo
He
una
went up to, I don't even go climb a
Moisés
mountain,
subió una
but Moses
montaña,
climbed up a mountain.
veía
He would
recontra
see
bien, tenía
extremely well. He
fuerza
had
y murió.
strength and he died.
¿Quién lo mató?
Who
Yahweh.
killed him? Yahweh.
Entonces,
So
ese
then
Yahweh
that
que
Yahweh,
después hizo el
which
papel de
later played
Mesías,
the
Yahweh
role
te
of
está
Messiah, Yahweh is
diciendo en
telling
esta
you in
historia,
this
y yo
story,
te la estoy
and I'm
explicando,
explaining it to you,
yo no voy a
I will not
reconstruir
go
la humanidad.
and rebuild
No
humanity.
puedo.
I can't.
Porque en mis manos
Because
hay mucha
in my
sangre. Yo
hands
soy el
there's too much
creador.
blood. I'm the creator.
Les doy la oportunidad
I
a
give
ustedes
you
de
the
hacerlo.
opportunity
A
to
Salomón,
do it.
que
Solomon,
es
who is
el hijo
the son
de
of
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
el hijo
the
del
son
Mashiach
of the
que vino
Mashiach,
primero,
came
es el
first.
Mashiach,
He's the
Salomón.
Mashiach.
Él va a
Solomon, he
reconstruir
will rebuild
en
in
esta
this
proyección,
projection
esta profecía.
of this prophecy.
Salomón,
Solomon, Shalomon, or Shlomo, or Shalom,
significa paz,
which means
él va a
peace,
traer paz
he
a
will
las
bring
naciones.
peace unto the nations.
Pero paz de verdad.
But actual
Dice, lo
peace,
voy a bendecir
since I'll
tanto
bless him so much
que él
that
le
he,
voy a conceder
I
paz
will give him
con todos
peace
sus
with all his
enemigos.
enemies.
¿Quiénes son nuestros
Who are our
enemigos?
enemies?
Bueno, ahora
Well, now
básicamente, por los que
basically,
creemos, podrían ser-
it could be,
no nos conocen,
they don't
podrían
know us,
ser
but
todos
it
los
could be all the
cristianos, todos
Christians,
los
all the
judíos, todo el
Jews,
mundo, nuestros
everyone.
enemigos.
Us are
Es lo que
enemies
nosotros
of
creemos.
what we
Pero
believe.
dice que le concede
But it says that he
a
concedes
este
unto him
Mesías,
this
esta
Messiah,
figura
this
mesiánica,
messianic
Salomón,
figure, Solomon,
aparte de su
aside from his
inteligencia, aparte de su
intelligence,
sabiduría,
his wisdom,
le da
he gives him
la paz
peace
con todos sus
with all his
enemigos
enemies
alrededor,
round about.
porque
For
Shlomo,
Shlomo or Solomon
será su nombre.
will be his name.
Ahí te lo dice.
That's where he says it
Shalom,
precisely.
Salomón, Shlomo será su
Solomon,
nombre.
Shlomo will be his
Paz
name.
será su nombre.
Peace will be his name.
Y en sus días
And in
concederé
his days
paz
I shall
y
concede
tranquilidad a
peace
Israel.
and
Él,
quietness unto Israel. He,
no tú, David.
not you, David,
porque tú
because
eres
you
un asesino.
are a
Y un
murderer.
asesino
An
no va a
assassin, an
construir
assassin
la
will
humanidad,
not build
no,
humanity.
el
No, the temple.
templo. Estos
No,
son
the temple. These are
figuras, son
figures. These are
figuras. No va
figures.
a construir el
Will
templo.
not build the
no.
temple. No,
No,
no.
Tiene que ser alguien
Has to
que
be someone
no sea
which is not
asesino.
a murderer,
Que no
which
sea
is not
promotor,
a
ni
promoter,
realizador de guerras. Que no
or
sea eso. No.
the one that promotes
Tiene que
war,
ser un
not
tipo que
that. No,
venga
it has to
para
be a
traer
God that
paz.
comes to bring peace.
Fíjense.
Notice,
No les venimos,
We
no venimos
I have
entendiendo
not
que
been
el Mesías viene a
understanding
traer
that
paz,
the
no guerra.
Messiah comes to bring peace.
El Mesías no viene a
The
destruir,
Messiah
a
does
pelear
not
con las
come
naciones.
to
No
fight
importa
against
que
the
las
nations,
naciones
no matter if
quieran
the
hacer lo que
nations
quieran.
want to do
El
whatever they
Mesías
want, the
viene a
Messiah
traer
comes to bring peace.
Les gusta a quien le guste y viene a traer paz.
Whether you like it or
A
not,
traer
it
paz.
brings brings peace, not to destroy. It's very different
al Mesías que
to the
entendíamos
Messiah that we
antes, que
understood
venía a
before, that he
destruir,
came to
a
destroy, to
pelear,
fight,
de todo.
do all
este
kinds of
Mesías
things.
viene
No,
a
this
decir,
Messiah comes and say, no,
no
no,
vine a pelear.
doesn't come to fight.
Voy a
In
hacer
fact, I'm going to
cualquier
do
cosa
whatever thing
para no tener
So
que
as to not
destruirlos.
have to destroy them.
Podría destruirlos.
Yeah, I could destroy them all, but I won't destroy them because I come to bring peace. Because I am the rebuilder, and this time peace, not in a dual sense of pacification. He doesn't come to pacify, but to bring actual peace. It says,
Dice,
for
Porque
Solomon or
Salomón,
Shlomo shall be his name,
será su
and in
nombre,
his
y en
days
sus
I
días
shall
concederé shalom
concede rest
y
and peace,
tranquilidad a
shalom,
Israel.
and
Él,
tranquility unto Israel. He,
Shlomo,
Shlomo, shall build
edificará
a temple
un templo
unto my
a mi
name.
nombre.
He
Él
shall be unto me
será
a
para
son.
mí
There
un
it is.
hijo. Ahí está.
This is the son.
Este es el hijo.
Unto,
a
he
quien
gives
le
the
da la
inheritance
herencia.
in a figure,
Una
of
figura,
course.
por
You
supuesto.
understand.
Ustedes entienden.
And I will
Y
be
yo
unto him
seré
a
para él
father.
un padre.
Clearly so.
Claramente, como
Like in
Salmos
Psalms,
dice, yo
he will be a
seré-
son
él
unto
será
me,
para mí un
and I'll
hijo,
be a
yo
father
seré
unto
para él
him.
un padre.
And
Y
I will
consolidaré el
establish the throne
trono
of
de
his
su
kingdom
reino
over Israel
sobre Israel
forever.
para siempre.
Something which has
Algo que
not
no
happened with
sucedió
Solomon.
con
Of course, it
Salomón.
didn't happen with Solomon.
Sucedió con Salomón.
But because
Pero
it's a
porque es una
prophecy.
profecía.
Because he's
Porque está
talking about
hablando
not
no de
about
Salomón,
Solomon, he's talking
está
about the
hablando
Elohim of
del
justice.
Elohim de justicia.
And not just
Y no
the Elohim,
solamente es el
the
Elohim
Elohim
de
of justice, but he
justicia,
has a different
tiene
title that
otro
I'll give
título,
today.
lo voy a
He is
dar.
the Elohim of
Es el
peace.
Elohim de paz.
Because he
Porque
shall
él
bring
traerá
peace unto the
paz
nations.
a las naciones.
So then, not
Entonces,
just,
no
he
solamente
doesn't
trae
only bring
justicia,
justice, but he's the
es
Elohim
el
of
Elohim
peace.
de paz.
He doesn't come
No
to
viene a
cause
hacer
war.
guerra.
He's the Elohim of
Es el
justice.
Elohim de justicia,
But it
pero
could
se
be
podría
interpreted as if he
interpretar
comes
como
to
que
do
viene a hacer
justice, in other words,
justicia, o
to
sea, a
execute
justiciar.
justice. And he doesn't come to
No
execute
viene a
justice.
justiciar.
He comes
Viene
to
a hacer la
bring
paz
peace to
con
all the
las
nations.
naciones.
He shall bring
Él
peace.
traerá paz.
And the wisest
Más sabio
king
del
of
mundo,
the whole world, the
al
wisest
más
king
sabio
of the
del
world, not David.
y no a David.
Not David.
Y no a David. ¿Por
Why?
qué?
Because
Porque
David,
David,
wisdom,
sabiduría,
justice to bring
justicia
peace.
para traer paz.
Spectacular. He
Espectacular. Él
could rebuild the
podía
temple
reconstruir el templo
or build the
o
temple.
construir el templo.
This is magnificent
Esto es
because it's
magnífico,
if
porque eso-
this
si
doesn't
eso no
happen
nos
to
sirve
understand
para
anything,
entender
it's
esto, no sirve
no
para
good
nada.
for anything.
Así
Just
para
like that,
nada, porque
Solomon
pasó la
passed on,
historia,
and that's it. That's
todo
all.
así.
But
Pero
these are
estos
parables
son parábolas.
because it says, "And I
Porque
shall
dijo,
open my mouth in
"Abriré mi
parables."
boca en parábolas".
That is why
Por
you
eso
have the
está la
scripture
escritura
that is
sellada.
sealed. So then now
Entonces,
let us
nos vamos
go to
a
First
Primera de
Samuel,
Samuel,
first book of
Primero de
Samuel
Samuel
13,
13:14.
first
Primer
book of
libro de
Samuel
Samuel
13:14.
13:14.
The Spanish
Reina
RV
Valera
1960.
1960.
And now,
Y ahora
yeah,
sí,
we're
ahora sí vamos en
in
el
minute
minuto
60,
60,
15
15
minutes
minutos del
on the
segundo
second
tiempo,
half, and
y
Holland is still
Holanda
losing
sigue perdiendo
against
con
Turkey.
Turquía.
Against Turkey of
Con
any
Turquía.
team. Who
¿Qué
the fuck
carajo
is
es
Turkey
Turquía en el
in
fútbol?
soccer?
Mamita.
Mamma mia.
Ok,
Okay, here it goes.
ok, acaba.
First Samuel 13:14. But now thy
Mas
kingdom
ahora tu reino
shall not continue.
no será duradero.
Shall not continue.
duradero.
They're
Le
telling him
están
that
diciendo-
Nathan
está
is telling
diciendo
David,
Natán a David,
now your
ahora
kingdom,
tu
David,
reino,
shall
David,
not
no será
continue.
duradero.
Whom does
David, ¿a
David
quién representa en
represent?
este aspecto?
I'll tell you
Directamente yo
directly.
digo a
He
quién
represents
representa.
Yahweh.
A
He
Yahweh.
represents Yahweh.
A Yahweh
David does.
representa a David.
This is your
Dice,
kingdom
tu
shall
reino
not
no
last
será
forever, David.
duradero, David.
Yahweh
Yahweh
had
se ha
sought. No,
buscado-
pardon me,
Ah,
pardon
no,
me.
perdón,
Let's go
perdón.
back. Let's
Vamos
go
a
back.
volver.
Not here, not here.
Acá no.
Here, the one
Acá
that
está
he's
hablando
talking to
a
Saul. He's
Saúl,
talking
le
to
está
Saul.
hablando a Saúl.
He's speaking to
Le está hablando
Saul
a Saúl y
in
le está hablando a
Samuel's.
Samuel.
Samuel speaking.
Samuel,
Pardon me.
perdón.
It's
Está
Samuel
hablando
unto
Samuel a
Saul.
Saúl.
Because Saul
Porque
didn't
Saúl
do
no hizo
something that he
algo
had to
que
do.
tenía
He
que
didn't
hacer,
kill
mató
the one he had to
al
kill.
que tenía que matar.
And so then Samuel
Entonces viene
comes,
Samuel,
another
otro
servant
siervo,
that
inútil.
is no good, a no
Y le
good
dice
servant,
a
tells Saul,
a
now Saul,
ahora
your
Saúl,
kingdom
tu
shall
reino
not
no será
continue.
duradero.
Yahweh had sought
Yahweh se ha
him a
buscado
man
un
after
varón
his own heart.
conforme a su corazón.
Who was that man
¿Quién era
after
ese
his
varón
own heart?
conforme a su corazón?
David.
David.
If David
Si
was after
David
his
era
own heart,
conforme a su corazón,
of course
con
David
razón
was
David era
a murderer
un asesino.
and
Y un
someone
hacedor de
that does
guerras.
war, a
Dos cosas
warmonger.
tenía David.
He
Hacía
would do
guerras
wars
y
and was a
asesinatos.
murderer.
Esta vida,
This
esta
humanity
humanidad
for
por
6,000
6,000
years
se
was characterized for
caracterizó por hacer
causing
guerras
innumerable
incontables.
wars. Up until
Pero
now, we're
hasta
at
ahora
war.
estamos en guerra.
There's always war.
Siempre la guerra
There always
tiene-
has to be a war. And so then
Entonces
Yahweh
Yahweh
says,
dice-
and so then
entonces,
Samuel says,
Samuel
look
dice,
here, Saul,
mira, Saúl,
you are
ya
no
no
good
servís
anymore.
más,
You're
te
out
vas.
of here. Yahweh has
Yahweh
looked
se ha buscado
for
un
a
varón
man that is just like
que es
him,
igual que él,
according to his own heart,
conforme a su
just
corazón,
like him,
igualito a él,
whom Yahweh hath commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which Yahweh commanded thee, which was to kill. He pardoned someone's life, and that's it. So then, David, these are stories. David demonstrates in the parable that David was according to the heart of Yahweh. Because Yahweh is a murderer. In this play, in this game, Yahweh actually gave us life. He gives eternal life. I'll tell it to you now. But in this play, of this game, where he says, you have to play this, if we could change our thoughts and say, well, I'm an eternal being. I don't want to miss out on where I left off, okay? On this. If we, I'm going to say something made up, okay? Completely made up. In other words, pay attention, because don't say Christian said, if we were perfect beings, gods, in a different dimension, and that all of a sudden we're bored one day, and we say we're bored of all perfection, nothing to do. Hey, what if we invent a game in which we have to submerge ourselves and live, but it'll be a disaster. It'll be a disaster. Afterwards, you can be born in any color, form, in any circumstances. They can even rape you. I mean, all kinds of things. All kinds of evils can happen to you. But wouldn't it be fun to do? Well, maybe being extraordinarily powerful beings and bored, they would say, yeah, that'd be good. Let's do something fun. Because this eternity, perfection, I mean, let's do something more fun. In the end, there's no risk. After all, there's no risk, but they say, let's see who wins. Let's see who wins. Because the rules are as follows. No one can have a memory what they were before. No, they say, no, that's not fair. Yes. Also, of course, if you have memory, that means something different. We'll be born as new beings. We have to be born without any memory, and whatever happens to us, whatever we're dealt, we'll see how we deal with it in the midst of disaster, because it'll all be against us. Even the Creator will appear to be a being that is completely evil, malevolent, and if it's everything against us, either we allow us to be taken by the circumstances and we say, we're all dog shit, we're losers, and we're going to leave the game, quit the game, or we don't do anything and let life go on, or we fight until the end and we win. Who wants to? Who dares? Maybe I'm just giving you a story, okay? Don't think that it was like that. So then these beings said, okay, let us get into this life. And maybe, still story, just the story, just like Job. So then they put us all here. And it would seem that God is unjust, that it's all dog shit, that this is this and that's all like, of course it has to be that way. Also, the game, it makes no sense. We already came from a perfect place, now they have to place us in a place that is the most imperfect possible. I have to be fighting with everything. If I plant watermelons, they grow and some mole comes and eats them. And I'm like, oh, that son of a bitch mole. Now, and I look for them. And I planted with Angelina a whole bunch of watermelons. They grew. And every day, one whole one disappears. And if they don't take them away, and they just eat the root and they leave the plant right there with the flower. What a son of a bitch mole. And as long as I step a plant like this filled with thorns, and the fucking bitch or as long as that happened, the sun is heating my face and I'm hot and I'm darker than somebody born in South Africa. And why are these curses? And that is how things happen. From one thing to another. Why all this evil? Or else it's no fun. Just like that. That's the game. Who wants to play an easy game? If I start to play FIFA and they're all so bad, just like Mexican players, and I come from Argentina and I just go through them like butter. I mean, it's boring, way too boring. No, give me somebody that plays well. Give me somebody that plays well, that can kick the ball. Every time you give me Mexico, just that, we just crush them. Something that can play those guys from Holland or those French guys. Here, the Americans. I'm not going to say anything. No, I'm not going to say it. I'll shut up. So then, we want for the game to have a challenge. We don't want something easy. It's too boring. How many easy games are fun? Easy, and people get bored. Or do you get bored? Yeah, I mean, it gets boring. I mean, it has to have a very good story in order to be actually be entertaining. Exactly. Then it ends, and that's it.
Pero está bueno algo
But
que
it'd
te
be good
intenta
something that
investigar, que te
makes you
rompa la cabeza.
investigate, to
Bueno, en
do
eso estamos
research,
metidos.
to
Entonces estos
for a
seres
puzzle. That's where we're
estaban
at. So then these
aburridos,
beings who
se
were
metieron
bored,
acá,
they got
se les
us
borró la
here.
memoria
Their memory was
y ahí a ver quién sale.
deleted,
Así
and then
estamos
see
nosotros.
who wins. That's
Es
how
una
we are.
fantasía.
It's a
Pero
fantasy.
¿qué tal si es una
But
cosa
what
así?
if it's something like that?
Parecida.
Like
¿Quién se
that?
va a quejar?
Then who's going to
Claro,
complain?
si
Of
llegamos
course.
al final
If we
y
get to the end
recuperamos la memoria
and
de
we
lo
all
que
get
éramos,
the memory of
esta
what we
historia,
were in this
uno diría,
story,
pero
one
qué
might say,
pelotudo.
what an
Los
idiot.
que se dieron por
Those
vencidos,
who gave
mira,
up
van a
and
decir,
said,
"Que, pero
they're going
qué
to say, what an
idiota,
idiot.
qué idiota que
What an
fui."
idiot I
Pero
was.
claro, si hubiera
But of
tenido
course, if I
memoria de
had
quién
had
era,
a memory of
no hubiera
whom
tenido
I
miedo a la
was,
muerte,
I would not have
no hubiera
feared death.
tenido miedo a
I
esto,
would not have
no hubiera
feared
tenido miedo a los
of this
demonios.
and that or the
Hubiera
demons. I would
utilizado
have
la
used
fuerza,
the
pero si
force.
nosotros mismos
But if
por ahí
we
diseñamos las
ourselves
cosas,
maybe
pero
design
claro,
things, but of course,
había que luchar más y no
we had
luché,
to
me dejé-
give
me
more
dejé
effort, and
vencer.
I allowed
Me
myself
dejé
to
vencer
get
por
defeated,
idiota.
like because I'm an idiot.
Nosotros tenemos que ver las cosas
We
así.
have to see things that way. This is nothing.
La eternidad
Eternity
está en nosotros.
is in us.
Ahora, esta es una
Now,
parte
this
del
is
juego
just
que
a part
tenemos
of the
que
game
pasar.
that we have to pass.
Por eso
That is why
no, tenemos que luchar
we
hasta
have to
contra
fight
la
even
depresión.
against depression.
No puede existir en nuestra
It
vida.
cannot exist in our
Este es un
lives. This is a
juego,
game.
es un
It is a
juego,
game.
grábenselo.
Remember that.
Está en juego,
It is such a
hasta tengo
game that
unos poderes
I
ahí
even
como-
have
como
powers
jueguito
there.
que hago pip,
Like
pongo
I go
pausa
beep beep
y
like this,
agarro
and I
un poder,
pause and I
si
grab
lo
this
sé
power.
utilizar,
If I know how to use
tengo
it,
más
I
vida,
have more
tengo
life.
más
I have
armas.
more
Ahora,
weapons.
si no sé
Now, if I
utilizar
don't know how
eso,
to use that,
claro, voy a
then
pelear
of course I'm
contra
going to fight against somebody, and they're going to destroy me.
Voy a ser miserable,
I'll be
voy a estar
miserable. I'll be
escondido,
hidden.
pues se va a poner aburrido.
It'll be
No,
boring.
esto es un
No, this
juego.
is a
Es
game.
un
It's a
juego, el
game.
juego
The
de la vida.
game of
Grábese
life.
esto. Esto es un
Record this.
juego
It's a
maravilloso
marvelous game
que nos tiene todos los sentidos
that
así.
it has all
Pero
the senses like this,
nosotros
but we
somos
are
eternos.
eternal.
Nosotros somos
We
dioses
are gods.
que nos metieron a jugar un
And
juego
they put us in to
del
play a
cual
game
tenemos
of which
que aprender
we have to
reglas
learn the rules,
para disfrutarlo
to
y llegar
enjoy it,
hasta el
and to
final.
get to
Y el
the
que
end.
llegue al
And he that
final
arrived
del
until the end of
juego
this game
es el que
is the
obtiene
one
la
that
victoria.
obtains the victory.
Primero Samuel
1
13:14.
Samuel 13,
Mas ahora
14.
tu
But
reino
now thy
no
kingdom
será
shall not
duradero,
continue,
dicen a
they
Saúl.
tell Saul.
Yahweh se ha
Yahweh
buscado
had
varón
sought him a
conforme
man
su
after his own
corazón,
heart,
David,
David,
al cual Yahweh
and
designado
Yahweh
para que
had
sea su
commanded him to be
príncipe
captain
sobre su
captain
pueblo,
over his
por
people,
cuanto
because
tú
thou
no has
hast
guardado-
not kept
no has guardado lo que
that
Yahweh te
which
mandó.
Yahweh had
Ahora nos
commanded thee.
vamos
Now
a
let us go to
Hechos de los pescadores.
Acts of the fishermen. No, that's not the way it's called.
Hechos de los
Acts
pescadores,
of the
capítulo
fishermen,
13,
chapter
22.
13, 22.
Gol de Holanda.
Holland
Sí.
scored. Oh, yes.
Gol de Holanda. No,
Holland
¿dónde
scored?
marca?
No,
Gol
it
de-
doesn't
sí,
say.
gol de
Oh,
Holanda.
yes, Holland scored.
70 minutos, gol de
The
Holanda.
70th minute,
Ay, ay, ay.
Holland scored.
Y
Oh,
bueno,
oh.
que se ponga-
Ay,
se
vey.
ponga divertido.
Okay,
Vamos,
let
tú,
it be fun. Let's
por
go
al-
Turkey
Por al lado, por el que sea.
or whatever.
Sí,
Just do
sí,
whatever you can.
sí.
And yes,
Vamos por al lado, vamos por el
let's
que
go
sea,
for
vamos,
Allah or
Turkey.
for whomever. Let's go Turkey.
Ok,
Okay,
acá va.
here goes.
Hechos 13, Hechos
Acts,
de los
Acts of the
pescadores,
fishermen
13:22.
13:22.
Quitado este,
And when he had removed him,
o sea,
in other words,
Saúl,
Saul,
les levantó
he
por
raised
rey
up
a
unto
David,
them David
de quien dio
to
también
be their king, to
testimonio
whom also
diciendo,
he gave testimony
"He
and
hallado a
said,
David,
I have
hijo
found
de
David,
Isaí,
the son of
varón
Jesse, a man
conforme a mi
after
corazón,
mine own heart,
quien hará
which shall
todo lo que
fulfill
yo quiera."
all my will.
Oh,
Oh,
todas las guerras
all
y
the
todas las
wars
matanzas,
and all
¿por
the
qué lo hacía
killings.
David?
Why did David do it?
Porque era lo que quería
Because this is
Yahweh.
what Yahweh
Lo está
wanted.
diciendo ahí.
He's saying it
Dice
right
que va a
there.
hacer
He says that
todo
he's
lo
going
que
to
él
do
quiere.
everything that he wants.
Entonces, todo
So
lo
then
que hizo
everything
David
that David
es
did
lo que quería
is what
Yahweh.
Yahweh wanted.
Matar y
To
seguir matando.
kill and to
Ahora,
continue to
cuando
kill.
Yahweh
Now,
dice,
when
"Ok,
Yahweh
ahora
says,
voy a
okay,
construir el
now
templo",
we're
no,
going to
no.
build the temple. Oh, no.
¿Cómo así? Dice?
How would you do that? How so? Someone
¿Cómo
would say,
así,
how
David?
so,
No,
David?
no,
How
no,
so?
tú hiciste todo lo que
Did you do it?
quisiste,
You did
sos
everything you
varón
wanted.
conforme a mi
You are a
corazón,
man after
igual que
mine
yo.
own heart.
Pero no,
But
no puedes
no,
construir el
you
templo.
cannot rebuild the
Ni
temple.
tú ni yo.
Not you or I.
No podemos reconstruir
We
la
cannot
humanidad.
build
No, no.
humanity.
Para
No.
eso tenemos
That is
designado
why
otra
we
cosa.
have
Se
the,
llama
someone
Elohim
else
de
designated. It's called the
Es
Elohim of
Salomón.
Justice, which is
Ese que va a
Solomon,
traer
is the
paz
one
a
that
las
will bring
naciones.
peace unto the nations.
El Mashiach
That Mashiach
es el que
is the
construye
one that
el
builds the
templo.
temple.
Mateo 16, 16,
Matthew
18.
16, 18.
Mateo 16,
Matthew
18.
16,
Te voy a leer en la Dios hablado en
18.
2002. Acá está
Here
Yahweh,
you've got Yahweh,
pero en el papel de
but
Mashiach,
playing the role as a
ustedes saben,
Mashiach, as
ustedes
you already
solamente
know,
pueden entender.
like you can only understand. No one else can understand this. The whole world thinks it's Jesus who's in heaven and speaking these words. You've got Yahweh, the only Elohim that exists, under the role of the Mashiach, showing the Mashiach, playing the role of the Mashiach. Matthew 16:18 says, and I say also to thee. Such a famous text. Yahweh says unto Peter, and I also say unto thee that thou art Peter, or little stone. And upon this rock, and you don't see it, but I'll tell you what Yahweh was saying. He was pointing towards himself. Look here, Peter, you're a little rock. Minuscule, little tiny rock, like that, little tiny rock. A tiny boulder, as it says also in other translations, in the original of the Greek. It's your little tiny rock, Peter, little tiny rock, tiny. I'm not going to build that church upon you, Peter. Maybe I'll make another church, but it's not the true church. Okay, not that. But upon this church, upon the Mashiach, he's saying, Yahweh is saying, in the figure of the Mashiach, upon this church, upon this rock, upon this rock, the one that destroys the image, the stone that destroys the statue of Nebuchadnezzar, upon this rock will I edify my church, and the church is the temple, of course, and the church, because it says the church, the congregation, no, it's talking about the temple, it's talking about the temple, which is humanity. Upon this rock, the Mashiach, I'll translate what it says. Upon the Mashiach will I rebuild humanity. In other words, the Mashiach is the rebuilder of the temple of humanity. And here's the secret, of course. I'll read these things which are concealed, and once you read them and I take the cover, you see them. And the power of death shall not prevail against it, of course, because the Mashiach has the power of life and resurrection. So then there's power over death. He was the key of death. In some versions, this is the power of hell, the power of Hades will not prevail against it. And the Christians say, yes, Satan and all of hell to put together, they cannot defeat my little church, and they rejoice in that stupid shit. It's not what the text says. The text says, Yahweh says, upon my figure, the Mashiach, will I rebuild humanity. And the power of death will no longer have any strength over humanity, because the Mashiach has the key of death, because he's the Elohim of justice, because he is the Elohim of peace, and because he is the Elohim of resurrection. Exactly. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So then what have we learned today? We have learned why Yahweh cannot rebuild humanity himself. I hope you have understood that. Why Yahweh says, no, if I'm showing you in this story that I, since I had to play the role in this game of killing, no. I have designed for my son, someone which I will call my son, and to him I shall be as a father. I will give the nations unto him, so that he can rebuild them, so that in a day like Yom Kippur, he can blame me completely, because it's part of the game. A main card, a red card for Azazel, out of the game. Azazel out, he's out of the game, and my son is in charge of rebuilding humanity. For that same reason, in the sense that humanity has always understood the book of Revelation, Revelation will not be fulfilled in any way, as the people have always believed. So then, even if the pastors believe that they cannot escape the curse in the Revelation, you understand that the Mashiach brings justice, peace, and life unto everyone, because Yahweh has designed it to be to do that task. Without any further ado, let us wrap up with a word of prayer. Beloved Yahweh, we give you thanks because you have given us this game, but also the rules. And you have given us all the special things, powers, shortcuts, power-ups, things that we should avoid, things that we should do to be victorious. You have given us all things, and we are alive, and we have yet to run out of life. We're still in this game, and we have understood that it's a game because you are the creator of the game. And we give you thanks because you have also designed us to understand all things, and to bring justice, to bring peace and life unto the nations. All this we thank you for, and we hope that this may be fulfilled very soon. You know that there is no blood in our hands, because you have created us to redeem, to rebuild, to restitute, and recreate and create the temple. All this we treasure, and we thank you for it in the name of the only Elohim that exists, our Elohim, our Father, our husband, Yahweh Sabaoth. Hallelujah. Semper Fi. Let the laurels be eternal, that we knew how to achieve. Crowned with glory, let us live, or let us swear with glory to come out of this game. Long live the sons of Elohim. Long live the rebuilder of the temple. Hallelujah to every one of you. And Alan just scored the second goal. Hallelujah to hey, we brought them luck. We didn't decree anything against them. And let the best team win. Hallelujah to every one of you. We shall meet again next Shabbat if the Lord so allows it. Hallelujah to every one of you.